kuyugi ko, nganong di man ka kuyugin ako, bisan dili ko gwapa, kahibalo ko, mustoya sa kaagi sa una, sa mga bayani, nagigira lang para sa kuma. 𝗍𝗵𝗲 andam mo away mamatay, unsa ko pa manggiatay, kuyogin lagi ko, di man ko mamugos, kuyogang muka ko sa kagahapon ni umabot, kuyogin lagi ko, di man ko mamugos, kuyugang muka ko sa kalayo ni tupas, andam daw ba ng subo, para malingkawas kuyog nimo, magkuyog na ta, pagdali na diha, ngano di ay, nganong di man kaganahan, kupta na to, ang sundang nila pula-po, leyon kilat, flores sa gargadyo, 𝗍𝗵𝗲 andam mo away mamatay, ulipon sa gugma, gumanggiatay, kuyogin lagi ko, di man ko mamugos, kuyogang muka ko sa kagahapon ni umabot, kuyogin lagi ko, di man ko mamugos, kuyogang muka ko sa kalayo ni tupas, andam daw ba ng subo, para malingkawas kuyog nimo, di ko nimo kuyogan, inunti kag talawan, di nakakatilaw sa humba o kinilaw, kuyogin lagi ko, di man ko mamugos, kuyogang muka ko sa kagahapon ni umabot, kuyogin lagi ko, di man ko mamugos, kuyogang muka ko sa kalayo ni tupas, andam daw ba ng sungkon, para malingkawas kuyog nimo, kuyog nimo, kuyog nimo.
Maayong hapon sa tanan. 𝗵𝗃 Cebu Heritage Hotel, in partnership with the 𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏 Incorporated, the 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 Center, the Central Visayas Association of Museums, and the Flag Tour Guides, present to you another exciting heritage event today entitled The Lost Parian Parish, the Conflicts in the Catholic Devotion in Cebu. Daghang salamat to everyone who is here with us right now this afternoon. Daghang salamat to those who came on site. So we have from the Bagong Teatro Junquera and La Liga reenactors, we have Ferdinand Azcaraga. Daghang salamat for joining us. So we would like you to know that Ferdinand Azcaraga is a heritage advocate, and he was the one who made a replica of the pre-colonial Visayan earrings which I am wearing right now. So these are the Patanaw earrings, and these are also available at Palmgrass Sinugatan Gifts from Cebu. So daghang salamat to the Flag Tour Guides for sponsoring and partnering with us in this event. So we are thankful that there are tour guides right now with us this afternoon. And so we also have our other guests from the church. We have Monsignor, is it Ting Angkahas already here? Or I will have the names later. So daghang salamat for joining us. So right now, I'm so surprised. We are just starting and we already have more than 30 online viewers right now. And we are also so happy that those who click going and interested in this event are already 200 um, participants. So we have more than 200 who click going. Unfortunately, we are not able to attach our electronic registration form we didn't attach the electronic registration form in the event page. So only a few registered online, although more than 200 already said going or interested to this event. So this is like a part two of our discussion last June. So last June, we had a discussion, an exciting discussion on the love and scandals in Old Cebu. So we are so happy also that of the large, big turnout in that event also, and very engaging discussion about ancient Cebu. So I mean, Spanish time Cebu. So we have this month, we are celebrating, of course, the month of our national language and local languages. So we have our, so do we have our event? So is it already cold in the room? So did we turn on already all the so thank you very much to those who came in very early from the flag tour guides, I guess. And also we have other guests here. Is it Esperidion? I mean, yes, so we have our guest here who is a a, a tree lover and who is also in an institution in the University of San Carlos regarding animals, and he was the one who also interacted with us in our discussion on 𝗏𝗡𝗃, the story of the trees and water of Cebu. So we have also so we are celebrating this month the buwan ng wikang pambansa, and it is the theme is about um, wikang mapagpalaya. So it's a language that would free us. What is the language that would free us? So pwede Bisaya, Tagalog, Filipino, and so language. What is the goal? What is the goal or the purpose of language? And so for this month's theme, the theme is language would liberate us. So and of course August is also the history month. The theme for the History Month is Salaysay ng Bayan, Saysay ng Bansa. Stories of the people, essence of the nation. So of course, the stories of the nation is the essence. The stories of the nation are the essence of the people. So what are we if we don't know our stories? So here at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, we talk about the story of about the story of our people. So in all floors and the rooms, in even the food, you would see the story of our people. You would see the names of heroes in our dishes, our drinks, in our rooms. So in all corners of Palmgrass, we celebrate history, not just in August, but we celebrate history 24/7, 365 days in a year. So every day, 24/7, every hour. I remember from the National Historical Commission, Ian Alfonso, when they were here in the celebration of the quincentennial, the 500-year celebration. So the NHCP team were at the rooms at Palmgrass, our rooms for heroes, and they were saying, even if you're sleeping, the headboard and the wallpaper is still about a hero. And of course, we thank our historian, Dr. Michael Collinane, who it is from his bio sketches of the names of the heroes in this book. Asa na to akong book? the arenas of conspiracy and rebellion. Pwede i-show? So it is actually in this book, The Arenas of Conspiracy and Rebellion in the Late 19th Century Philippines, authored by historian Dr. Michael Cullinane, that we based our description of the heroes at the headboard, at the wallpaper of the rooms named in honor of the heroes of Cebu. So even when you sleep, the hero is still with you in the room. When you eat, the hero is still there. So those, we are celebrating the history month, and also we celebrate at the end of this month, in the last week of August is the National Heroes Day. So of course, also this August, we also remember that on August 6, 1569. So actually, this date has been declared as the founding of Cebu province. But we would like to share with you what really happened on this day. How many years ago? More than 400 years ago. So on this day, on August 6, 1569, this was 4 years after the Spanish occupation of Cebu. So when did Spain occupy Cebu? So from our audience, the very kind of, what's your name? 1565. We were occupied by the Spaniards, led by, oh, very good. History lovers, Adni. So you are Leonela? Leonela from what organization? Ah, pwede ma-show atong audience. So, kanang closer kay, you still have your reserve tables. So, you are from, pwede i-show, pwede i-remove sa graphics. So closer ko na. So Leonela is from Cebu City, lumad nga Cebuana, and she knows is that we were occupied in 1565 by Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. You are what organization? Naon ang mic, wala. Wala.
50th anniversary.
50th anniversary of
Movement for United Studentry.
Movement for United Students from University of San
San
Carlos.
Carlos.
So daghang salamat, Judelas, for sharing with us your knowledge on Cebu history.
Another thing, I'm also interested to buy the tabunan because I happened to meet Colonel Segura before he died.
Yes.
Very proud. Thank you.
Daghang salamat, Junela. So in 1569, so this is August 6, 1569. So we have, this was 4 years after the Spanish occupation of Cebu. And at the same period, in that same year, Legazpi actually already left Cebu for Panay. So on this day, Miguel Lopez de Legazpi is declared as the governor and captain general of the island of Cebu and the rest of the settlements to be colonized in the Islas de Poniente, or the early name for the islands. So at that time, there were no provinces yet. They were still starting to colonize the islands here, and Cebu was their first colony in these islands. And at that time, even if there were already expansion activities, Cebu was the only Spanish colony in the islands. And we would like also, of course, you already know, the flag tour guys already know this, that even before the Spaniards came, Cebu was already a center of trade in Southeast Asia in 1521 and before that. And Pigafetta described Cebu as the one with the biggest port with the most supply. That's why Magellan asked the kings of Mazawa and the kings of Mazawa and Butuan to lead him to Cebu. And according also to some historians, that actually the kings of Mazawa and the kings of Mazawa and Butuan were actually allies of Humabon, and they delayed the trip of Magellan to Cebu. So Upon the Spanish occupation in 1565, Cebu's economy declined and the natives refused to till their fields and blocked the supply coming from the other islands to starve the Spaniards. And the Spaniards resorted to entrada, which is the confiscation of the food items of the natives. So in 1569, Augustinian friar Rada said and described Cebu as with very fertile land, abundant in food, but we all die in hunger. And also the Portuguese attack happened and they were eating rats actually. And the Spaniards were already eating rats because of food scarcity. There was artificial food scarcity, so they would go to food expeditions to neighboring islands. Still, they wouldn't find food in other islands because, of course, the natives there are already warned that the Spaniards are coming. So they would tell the Spaniards that no, there we have no food. We didn't harvest much. So Legazpi was forced to go to Panay in 1569, and the natives then set in flames the Spanish settlement in Cebu called Villa San Miguel. So before they left Cebu, so when they came here, they had a Spanish settlement named Villa San Miguel, and the natives set the Spanish settlement on fire when Legazpi went to Panay. So still, maybe they could still not eat in Panay, so Legazpi decided to go to Manila. And before he went to conquer Manila, he came back to Cebu in November 1570 to establish the first official town in the colony. And on January 1, 1571, so New Year na siya, no? In 1571, before he went to Manila, Cebu was declared as the Villa del Santísimo Nombre de Jesus. But within 18 months after that, the Spaniards that Legazpi chose to become encomenderos in Cebu either died of tropical illness or packed up to go to other neighboring islands. And there was actually a report in the 1590s from the Augustinians reporting to Spain that there is a witch that was bewitching that made a whole Spanish family crazy. So actually, maybe it was those were the witches that poisoned the Spaniards, making them sick. So the witches are our Babaylan, of course, and even in the Dagami revolt, they reported that they were poisoned, and of course, who would poison them is poisons were one weapon of the ancient Cebuanos, made by the women, the witches in Cebu. So proud witch, the proud Babaylan, the healers of Cebu were the witches, called the so-called witches, who fought against the enemy with poisons. So that's the story in 1569. So we have the references, Pares, Archivos Españoles. We have from Blair and Robertson, the Philippine Islands from 1493 to 1898. We have also from William Henry Scott, looking for the pre-Hispanic Filipinos. We also have as a reference, 𝗬𝗏 Sitoy, A History of Christianity in the Philippines, 𝗬𝗏𝗀𝒄𝒻, A Short History of Cebu, 1500s to 1890s, and the Anti-Spanish Revolution in Cebu. So we actually have this book published by PAMGRA sa Cebu Heritage Hotel. And unfortunately, A Short History of Cebu is now out of print. We are reprinting it, and we hope that it will be available next month. So, and also we have also as our reference 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪's Magellan's Voyage Around the World. So of course, it's History Month, so we all invite you to look at our books at our basahanan. Hala, ako man na. So we have so many books about Cebu and Philippine history and heritage, and our local also literature at our PAMGRA's basahanan. So we also would like to thank you to those we have already our reactor here who would react later, Max Limpag, journalist Max Limpag. So we thank that Max is already with us this afternoon on site. So we have also our upcoming events. We would like you to know that this August 31, in celebration of Buwan ng Wikang Pambansa, Wikang Mapagpalaya, we will have our Bansay Balak. So Bansay Balak, of course, you know the translation of that into English. Bansay is the Cebuano word for to train, right? Or to, unsa nang bansay? To practice. And Balak is poem. So practice poetry or to Bansay Balak. So it's a poetry workshop for beginners. We thank those who already sent their poems. So we welcome poems in Cebuano, in Filipino, and in English. And our deadline is actually August 20 for the submission of the poems. And then, so those poems would be read by our poetry facilitator, poetry workshop facilitators. So this would be facilitated by Professor 𝗏𝗏 of UP Cebu, and also we also have 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏 of University of San Carlos Senior High. She is also a spoken word poet. So also on September 14th is our discussion or our event on the story of the Cebu Press. Asa na si Max? Kay si Max kung kumusugot si Max. Musugot na ni daan. Hangyo lubo pa ni. So, so Max will be with us to trace with us the story of the Cebu Press. And of course, September 22 is our 𝗲𝗏𝗀𝗵𝗵 anniversary. We will have as our resource person Dr. Tara Reyes Hernandez, an archaeologist, a graduate of doctoral of she got her doctoral in University of the Philippines, Diliman, and we will be discussing raiding and feasting in the Visayas. So, daghang salamat to everyone who came in. Daghang salamat for joining us. So, we would like to have the names of those who came on site for us to recognize them. So, on September 22, we will have a Warrior Dagami cosplay contest where our warriors will be in bahag and tattoos only. So, and of course, they will tell us why should they be crowned as Warrior Dagami of 2024. So, it is a very exciting event on September 22 as we celebrate the anniversary of our roof deck garden, named in honor of Warrior Dagami, who led the revolt in 1565 to 1567 in Cebu. So we would also like you to know, we are happy to share. We have been sharing this every month in our events that Pamgras de Cebu Heritage Hotel last February during the Charter Day celebration of Cebu City has been awarded as an outstanding institution of Cebu City. So this award is in appreciation of Pamgra's unwavering commitment to preserving and promoting Cebu's cultural legacy through engaging exhibitions, book launches, diverse events, and cultivating a profound appreciation and understanding of Cebu history among the youth and local communities. So in all our endeavors, we always involve the youth. In our artworks, it was the UP Fine Arts students who studied about Cebu history and Cebu heritage, and they were able to create the artworks at the different rooms and floors, for the different rooms and floors of Pamgras de Cebu Heritage Hotel. So of course, they got an honorarium also for their work in using their talent and creating art to promote love of our history, our heroes, and our culture. So thank you very much to our partners in our event, the Flag Tour Guides, the Central Visayas Association of Museums, of course, Pamgras de Cebu Heritage Hotels Galleria Independencia is a proud member of the Central Visayas Association of Museums, and we are also a member of the 𝗬𝗏𝗏 Heritage Center. So we also thank the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Foundation Incorporated, the cultural heritage arm of Pamgras de Cebu Heritage Hotel. So thank you very much to those who are joining us online and on-site. So we would recognize those on-site later because they are still registering. So thank you very much to So also heritage advocate and an author of the book on Lapu-Lapu City, Ahmed Quezon. Daghang salamat to Ahmed. Ahmed is also one of our resource persons about Lapu-Lapu a few months ago. So we thank Ahmed for joining us online this afternoon. And of course, Ahmed also was formerly a regional director of LTFRB. So daghang, and also a very fierce advocate of Lapu-Lapu being honored as a national hero. Daghang salamat, Ahmed. So we have also joining us the teachers and the supervisors of the supervisor and teachers of the Araling Panlipunan in Department of Education, Taguig City and Pateros. We also have as our guest online today joining us from a Cebu journalist also, Rico Osmeña. Good afternoon, Gavin. Can't make it physically, but will be monitoring. So we also have Ellen from the Flag Tour Guides. Ruby Conson uh, is also joining us. Ian Binyan, also a music artist who was a performer of one of our songs at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel. Ian Binyan from Phylum. Daghang salamat for joining us. And Joy Hera, Joy Hera from University of San Carlos, Department of Anthropology, Sociology, and History is saying, hi, Dr. Colinaine, hi, Gavin. And Trista is here with us, and Daniel Nino Paclihan of the University of San Carlos Museum. And Ferdy is saying August is also ASEAN month. It is a month for the Southeast Asian nations. And of course, we share culture. We have shared culture and heritage the with the Southeast Asian nations. So we have also Trista and Paul Padilla. Paul Padilla is saying it's a sad story. Is it a sad story that please tell us more, Paul, about what is the sad story? And then Farina Sanchez is watching from Lapu-Lapu. Daghang salamat for joining us. Catherine Nabua watching from Cebu City. And Gabriel Gonzalez is watching from Atlanta, Georgia. And Gabriel will be actually giving her reaction. Even if she is in Georgia, she will give her reaction. We will show her later for her reaction after Max Limpag's reaction. Kay mga beauty and brains man yung mga reactors actually. so so we have maayong hapon sa tanan from Gabriel. Nina Sevilla is saying is watching. Daghang salamat for joining us. And Pia Alcazarian is also watching, and Ligaya Rabago, Professor Ligaya Rabago of UP Cebu is also watching us. So daghang salamat everyone. So daghang salamat for joining us online and also here physically on site. So may I have the names? I would recognize you later. So we would also like you to know that at Palmgrass de Cebu Heritage Hotel, happy ta gid ako introduce atong resource person sa gamay na lang gyud. I will get the names of our those who are registered. And then so we have as I've been telling you about the rooms for heroes at Palmgrass. So we have our room treat, which is pangga sa ting-uwan, which is cuddle in the rain. Is it cuddle in the rain? Yes, cuddle is always a cuddle weather with you. It's 40% off, and you will have the name of the hero and the old map of Cebu and the Philippines at your, and then with of course the description of the hero that we got from the historian Dr. Michael Colinaine. So this month our cake of the month is entitled 𝗧𝗵𝗀𝗃𝗏. It's a dark chocolate. It's red velvet cake with dragon fruit smoothie, and the name was made by our millennial staff in 2019. So 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗏, I love you, but say but ana. But our cocktail of the month is ikaw ra. Only you. It's also a dragon fruit, very healthy, antioxidants. So with cranberry and dragon fruit. Ikaw ra, only you. So our cocktail of the month is only you. The 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 cake and smoothie is 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗏. Contradictory sila. ladti ka pero ikaw ra gihapon. so so of course, this afternoon we will have our discussion, our very exciting discussion of the Lost Parian Parish. We will have reactions. We have reactors like journalist Max Limpag, who has been writing about this, the lost, everything lost in Cebu, the Lost Parian Parish, the Lost Saint in Cebu, the Lost Patron Saint in Cebu. So, nag-ingon ko, Max, nga you are writing about everything lost in Cebu, the lost parish and the lost saint. So, if you want to look for something, you read Max Limpag, journalist Max Limpag, because he is writing about everything lost. Pero ang mawala, makaplagan ra gyapon na, no? Kung mabasa mo ni Max. So we also have as one of the highlights this afternoon our announcement of the winners of the Cebu Island-wide hybrid speech contest with the theme. This is the contest in celebration of 𝗬𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗏's 151st birthday. So you already know who 𝗬𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗏 is. Si 𝗬𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗏 is our hero of Cebu who led the Battle of 𝗃𝗃𝗃 in 1898. And because of that opening salvo, even if he was killed in Karkar, we still won. We won against the Spanish colonial rule. So the Cebuanos were able to drive away the Spaniards on December 24, 1898. So we celebrate 𝗬𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗏 with the theme, how can today's leaders be, how can 𝗬𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗏's heroism inspire change in today's society? So karon di na gyud mapugnan. So is ako sa ding i-recognize ang kanang naa diri on site. So we have from Flag Tour Guides, we have also as an organization is unsa ning si 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃 unsa ning ACE nga organization? Aquatic Cebu. Aquatic Cebu. So we have from Aquatic Cebu, Flag Tour Guides. We also have Rose from UP Cebu, my companion in our walking tour in May. So daghang salamat for joining us. So we have Father Marion Mejia, Cebu clergy. So daghang salamat to Archdiocesan clergy for joining us today. We have someone, Rafael from Camigan. So we also have someone from walay walay address, di ko kasabot sa address. Flag Tour Guides, we have also mycebu.ph, and this is Max Limpag. We also have Paul, di ko kasabot sa organization. And we have also from 𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗃, although I don't know what 𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗃 means. Nelly C. from Capitol. We have someone from the University of San Jose Recoletos. We also have Jet, also from another hotel in Cebu. Daghang salamat for joining us. He is, Jet Garigade is also the designer of this book, Out of Parian. So daghang salamat to Jet for joining us on site today. And also, we have, so kana lang sa, mora to. So we didn't see other names here who all they are here on site but did not list their name. Ibalik nato dito at ang kuan registration form. Yes. So now we will introduce to you our we have Joy. So we have also Faye Zaira Region, Brenna Gabutin. Paul is saying that it's sad that about the rise and fall of the Parian Church. So this is what Paul is sad about, the rise and fall of Parian. Gary Tenchavis is saying, hi, Gavin, and distinguished resource speaker Mike Collinane Xiao. And Visla Cortez says, good afternoon. Rafael Almocera. So, Nafarin Sanchez says, I really love Palmgrass Hotel. We love you too. Farin, Nafarin, we love you too. The feeling is mutual. And G. Limosnero, shout out to Miss Ellen of the Flag Tour Guides watching live. See, G is watching live. So karon murag dili na gyud ni mapugnan ato na yung introduce ang atong resource person this afternoon. Our resource person this afternoon is a Cebu historian. He is the Associate Director of the Southeast Asian Studies Center of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He is also a teaching faculty in the Department of History at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He was a U.S. Peace Corps volunteer in Cebu City and lived and worked in Cebu for more than pila ni ka years, more than, and has been visiting Cebu for over the past 50 years. And he is a recipient of the Grand Goodman Prize in Philippine Historical Studies awarded by the Philippine Studies Committee of the Association for Asian Studies. He is the author of the Chinese Mestizos of Cebu City and so many other books. And he is the author of this book, The Battle for Cebu, and this is about in the siege of Sudlon in 1899 to 1900. And this is available at the registration table. I already told you he is the author of the Arenas of Conspiracy and Rebellion in the late 19th century Philippines. He is also the author of the Parian of Cebu City. He has written for the Integration and Internation and many other books. So it's our pleasure and it's our honor to introduce to you our resource person, one of our resource persons this afternoon, the adopted son of Cebu City, declared by the Cebu City Council in 2017. Please help me welcome Dr. Michael Collinane.
Mayong hapon kaninyong tanan.
So, daghang salamat to Dr. Mike for waking up at 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. right now in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, he's awake, and we show Mike, Dr. Mike. He has the Santo Niño with him that made him awake until this morning. I mean, at morning, pwede wide shot ni wide nga frame ni Mike ni Dr. Mike. You see, padako mas madako pa siya. At si Mike. Oh, ay naputol si Santo Niño. But then he really made it a point that there should be in his office at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Of course, he is Cebuano, and I would say more Cebuano than most of us. He knows more about Cebu, the history of Cebu, the families of Cebu, than most of us. So thank you very much, Dr. Mike, for having the Santo Niño guiding you. That's why Mike is he has a whole library of history in his head. And we thank the Santo Niño for the guidance. The Santo Niño is at the back of his head. So, daghang salamat, Dr. Mike. So now we would also like to introduce to you our resource person. So another panelist in our discussion this afternoon about the lost Parian Parish. He has written for Cebu, Iloilo, and Manila publications. He is an awardee of the Cebu Art Association under the watch of the late Professor Julian Humalon. And he was among the trustees of the Kagikan sa Parian Foundation Incorporated, an organization of the descendants of Cebu City's leading families until the end of Spanish rule. And at the Kagikan, he was designated as the historian and authenticator. And if you want to be authenticated, you go to him. So he would decide if you are authentic or fake. No joke. And then he is a founding member of the Hamiling Binilin or Hambien Cherished Heritage. Hamiling Binilin is translated as Cherished Heritage. It is an organization of heritage advocates who finished the diploma in Cebuano Heritage Studies at the University of San Carlos. And his first book is The History of 𝗻𝗏𝗏 City, published by the province of Cebu. And he is, of course, the author of this book, Out of Parian. Out of Parian. So please help me welcome. So he is a heritage advocate, a writer for all seasons. He is not just a writer kuno of history. He writes something else aside from history. And he also is also sometimes described by some of my friends as a permanent fixture at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel. So it is our pleasure to introduce to you our resource person, one of our panelists this afternoon, Gavin Sanson Bagares.
Very much, everyone. And very special greeting, my friends, no? Señorita Gemma Owano Wilson, Orlando Diola, Jamie Seno Zanoria, of course, mi prima, Marilu Bernardo. She's here because the Osmeñas will be mentioned later on. No, she's the great-granddaughter of Don Sergio Osmeña. And then, of course, our professor from UP, Mayek Briones Barba, whose mother wrote Life in Old Parian, the first one that really wrote the memories of Old Parian. And then Margie Matthew, of course, Father Marion, Max Limpag, na anagyud, be kind to interpolate us. Yeah. And your brother, Octavio Briones, no? Yes, hi. Hello. Oo, si Father Marion, ako sa nang pariente. So, murag mga pariente ra ni diri. Sir Al Quizon, of course, no? Whose brother is going to run. Unya na lang ta mga panya. No?
Nag-plugging na si. Dagang salamat,
Miss
Gavin.
Ellen, yeah, and of course si Iris Saluyo, no? Oo. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Daghang salamat before mangampanya si Gavin og sugod. So, daghang salamat to Gavin for joining us on site today, and also of course our historian Dr. Michael Culinain for joining us online and being awake at 2 a.m. Right? It's 2 a.m. right now at Wisconsin. So, daghang salamat also to Samantha Chloe Nacario and Rachel Miranda from Taguig Integrated School of Taguig City and Pateros. We have also Maria Lalaine Pipito, Belia Abao, and Gabriel Gonzalez says, Dr. Culinain, hello. Yes. So daghang salamat everyone to the more than 50 reactions to our event this afternoon. So now we would like to, so we are now traveling back in time. So we would like to recall, it is History Month, so we recall the story of our ancestors in 100 years ago. So what was their life, and nganong ingani ta karon? How did we become who we are today? So we always try, so of course, Dr. Jose Rizal, and a very famous quote attributed to him said that ang hindi marunong lumingon sa kinaroroonan ay hindi makakarating sa the one who does not look back in his past would not be able to reach the destination and the goal. So sorry for not giving the correct quote. Sige ko nabi. Sa to, ikaw kuno Gavin.
Maglisod ko karon.
Dili sad ka. So ang mga taga Taguig City and Pateros who are watching, the teachers of the Arling Panlipunan, teachers of and supervisor of the Arling Panlipan who they are always with us every month in our events. Every event they are with us because they are also interested in learning about Cebu, about our heroes. And we're so happy because during the birthday of 𝗪𝗏𝗀𝗃 the previous year, and also the birthday of General Arcadio Maxilom, they actually send flowers. They love our heroes like us, or more than us, like us. So they send flowers to Karkar for the monument. So they asked Palmgrass to send the flowers for 𝗪𝗏𝗀𝗃 to Karkar. But he was killed in Karkar, but there was no other monument of 𝗪𝗏𝗀𝗃 except our wood sculpture of 𝗪𝗏𝗀𝗃 there at the lobby, and the monument in Karkar. So we thank the Taguig City and Pateros, even if they're in Manila, in the National Capital Region, they are always with us, learning with us, and journeying with us back to our past. So what's the correct quote? From Nafarin Sanchez, ang hindi marunong lumingon sa kanyang pinanggalingan, hindi makakarating sa kanyang paroroonan. So daghang salamat. We're celebrating buwan ng wika, wikang mapagpalaya. It's a liberating language. So, of course, so we have discussed this. So we have Rose here in our walking tour in downtown Cebu in May. So we first discussed about what Legazpi did when he came to Cebu in 1565. So in 1565, Legazpi divided the port area into two, the Ciudad del Europeo and Pueblo de Naturales. So now we would like to ask our historian, Dr. Michael Cullinane, regarding this and how was Cebu Parian district established and why is it named Parian? Sige, so Dr. Mike. You are muted, Dr. Mike.
Unmuted.
Yes, you are
Okay.
now. We can hear you already.
Thank you. Okay, I first want to just say hello to Gavin and say that he's looking really good. And I need to tell him that I miss him dearly.
Oi, Dr. Mike, see, I would tell you now, even if Gavin is here, he says that you are ghosting him. so
I hope I am.
you don't look like a ghost actually.
Yeah.
So you know, see, Dr. Mike, we should learn from him. He is forever young. But he wouldn't tell us his age.
Yeah. I'm ageless.
Dr. Mike, so.
Okay, so I think what I would want to do is start by just promoting two books that are, one of them is already out and the other one is about to come out. And both of them are edited by the national artist 𝗬𝗁𝗍𝗍 and also 𝗏𝗶𝗀𝗵 at the director of the Cebuano Study Center. Both of these books are being published about Cebu entirely. And both of them are published by 𝗬𝗏𝗏 Foundation in Quezon City and Metro Manila. One of them is called More Cebuano Than We Admit. And the new one that is coming out that I think has a lot of the things that I would be talking about today is called Old Cebu. You know, and I would recommend these two books, and I'm sure that Palm Grass Heritage Hotel will have them on stock as soon as they hit the street. So in terms of just talking about the questions that you sent me, I will stick to those questions just so that there could be some time to get some other things in. I think probably the first thing for us to all be aware of, from my point of view, is that Cebu City during the late 16th and early 17th centuries, and for quite a ways on, was a very small place. Unlike it is today. Today it sprawls all the way, as we know, from Talisay to Mandawi, all up into the mountains of Sudlon. It's a gigantic place. But during the period of time, during the Spanish period, for the most part, Cebu was a very small place. You could walk around it very easily. I did this one time. So the question that I was asked first was, why was Cebu Parian District established? And I think the answer to that is fairly simple. It was established by the Spaniards as a way of finding a place to ask all of the Chinese who came to Cebu to reside. And as you already said, that the Cebu was already being seen as the center of Cebu, as oh, look, there's one of my favorite maps. If we look at right dead center in that map, that's the old city, and that was the Spanish city. That was the Legazpi designated that as the Pueblo de Europeos and the Spanish quarter. But no other areas of Cebu until the end of the 16th century were designated. And gradually, as the Chinese, this is before there were Chinese mestizos, as the Chinese were designated to live on the other side of the Rio de Parian, the other sometimes called the Rio de Tinago, they were to be on the north side of that, on the hinterland, and the Spanish quarter was on the other side. What became very complicated, however, and I think this is why there was a need for the development in 1614 of a change, which we'll talk about in a second. The reason that was is that what was supposed to happen was that it was supposed to be a Spanish city, and all of the Cebuanos, or the people who are native to this area, should move across the Pahina River, and eventually in 15 1784 to become a part of the Pueblo de San Nicolas, which happened. But that didn't happen. What actually happened is all kinds of people settled everywhere. They settled in a whole series of districts. And what happened then was, as we move into the second question, and the third question was, how then did the Parian get established, and how was it established, and actually what was it? So initially, it's a place of settlement for the Chinese coming to Cebu. And of course, the Chinese who came to Cebu often came, they met local women, they stayed sometimes their whole life, sometimes they went back, but they also had children. And this is the beginning then of the Chinese mestizos, who also resided in the Parian. So, and it's not till 1614, that's a huge date in the memory of the Parian. And this was the second bishop of Cebu, Pedro de Arce, who came in 15, he came in.
Dr. Mike,
Yes.
so actually that would be my third question for you. So
Yep.
daghang salamat for answering the first question. Why was the Parian district established? So
You want to go ahead and ask the questions then?
yes.
Oh, okay, good.
I haven't asked yet. So, Gavin would also daghang salamat, Dr. Mike. So, Dr. Mike was telling us about his book, More Cebuano Than We Admit. I mean, he has an article in that book. So, it's actually available there at our registration table. Only a few copies lang, no? So, we have the More Cebuano Than We Admit. So, we are waiting for that book that you said, the Old Cebu. Old Cebu. So, and of course, here at Pangras, we also have the books, other books on Parian. So we have the book by of course, the one Gavin said, Concepcion Gantuanco Briones. So this is Life in Old Parian. So we're so happy to know that this is actually published in 1983. And even in this book, Dr. Michael Colonnane was also quoted heavily here. So you would see that's 1983 is how many years ago? Was that 30 years? Huh? 30? 41 years ago? So 41 years ago, this book, Life in Old Parian, was published 1983, and Dr. Michael Colonnane is already here. So, of course, teenager pa si Dr. Michael Colonnade at this time. And he is already a historian quoted in this book, Life in Old Parian. And of course, the book by Gavin Sanson Bagares, this is Out of Parian, also available here at Pamgras, the Cebu Heritage Hotel's Basahanan. So now we would like to ask Gavin, from his also research, what is, from your research, what is the origin of the name Parian? Because according to Dr. Michael Colonnane, so it's not very clear. So there are so many versions of this. Why is it called Parian? So, and then why is it significant in Cebu history? Sige, Gavin.
Yeah. First things first, my Colonnane is really my teacher in a way, no? Informal for so long. So I learned so much from him. And everything that I know, I owe from Mike, no? So Parian was in the Chinos and Filipinas, that's 19th century. They said Parian means marketplace, market, Mexican word for market. But also, if you talk to people in the 1970s, 1960s, probably even 1980s, they would say Parian comes from the word pari, kay daghang pari. There are lots of priests in that area. But I would tend to believe that it came from whatever that Mexican word is for market. Yeah, and also there's a Wikipedia entry quoting Teodoro Agoncillo. Is that our book that we had at UP? That it came from Puntahan or Padian, the place do you go to buy things. So that's Wikipedia is a tertiary source. So just to triangulate matters, it points out to market, except for the common popular idea that it is from the word of priest, no, pari.
So, salamat, Gavin, for sharing with us why is it called Parian. So we have also Janet saying good afternoon from uh, Taguig City and Pateros. And so we have this question now. For if you have questions, you can have the question later during the open forum, or you can also go to the Palmgrass the Cebu Heritage Hotel Facebook Live event, and you can also type your questions there at the comment section, because we would be reading your question as we go along. But you will also have a special a portion for the question and answer for our resource persons. So now we would like to ask Dr. Mike regarding, can you tell us about the significance of the Parian district in Old Cebu, or what is its contribution to the economic, political life, cultural life of Cebu? Wala ni sa akong questions nimo, so kalit turning a question.
Yeah,
Impromptu.
slightly,
Yes.
slightly
Uh,
different.
so what is the contribution of the Parian district to the economic, cultural, or could you also discuss some very important personalities in the Parian district that has an influence, that influenced much Cebu society at that time?
I mean, first, it might be useful just to know how the district came into existence. And because it has a very complicated history that starts in 1614 with Bishop Arce. Right, and the question then from 1614 to 1849, the Parian was two things. It was a pueblo, a municipio that was where Spanish and where Chinese and Chinese mestizos lived, but it was also a parish, and the parish included not only Parian but a district called Lutaos. Therefore, when you're talking about the parish of Parian, you're talking about a parish that incorporated two municipios, Lutaos and Parian, separate from the Ciudad, the Spanish quarter. So, and that had the parish of the cathedral. So Cebu between 1614 and 1849 is a very complicated place. It's a place that is made up of three pueblos and two parishes, with the Parian and the Lutaos being connected as a part of the parish, but the church was established under the Chinese mestizos in the Parian district itself. And that becomes very interesting to know. So the obvious, this is what Gavin has already said. I mean, if we assume that the word Parian comes from a Mexican origin word that means marketplace, yes. So the Parian was the marketplace of Cebu City for a very long period of time, until it moved across town to the port area. And that didn't happen until the 1850s and the 1860s. So for the entire history from 1614 to the 1849 is actually a history where the main marketplace was ideally along what we would today call Colon, along the Estero, which was then called a rio or a riachuelo of Parian, and sometimes referred to by Tinago. So its importance in Cebu would be, it is the place where the richest people in Cebu live. It is a place that is where the market, most of the stores and shops and things that are selling things from the province into the city and provisioning the city, all of them take place in that district along a single calle de, what we today call Calle de Colon, which of course 𝗬𝗏 has also written about. So that would be its significance, but there's a lot of other things. So it remains then, this is from 1614 to 1849, it is both a town as well as a parish, alongside the cathedral and in sharing another town with Lutaos. The Lutaos is probably as equally a more interesting place as to who are the Lutaos, but mostly the Lutaos by the 17th, 18th century are Cebuanos of various kinds, but that has an interesting history also. The districts of Cebu have interesting names that the origins can tell. Lutaos, Maluco or Mauco, Pampanga, Pampanga. These are districts of Cebu City, all of which have their own origin and how they came into being over time. So,
Dr. Mike, there is already a question for you from journalist Rico Osmeña, and he is asking, can we say then that Parian is the economic center before Spain came or during the Spanish period or the Spanish time Cebu? Or he is asking if what was Parian before Spain came? There was no Parian yet.
no, there was no Parian before Spain came. It was created by the Spanish. Always, if you go all across the Philippines, when the Chinese began to trade with the Filipinos, and the Chinese did trade with the Philippines long before the Spanish came. So there's an ongoing thing, but the trade was mostly at the seashore, along the waterfront, and so on. But it's the Spanish who wanted to move the Chinese to a particular district. And the purpose of that was to control the Chinese, but it was also later to convert them to Christianity. So it becomes a single location. So there was no Parian per se before the Spanish came. That was created largely, and it didn't become known widely, and certainly did not become a parish until 1614.
Yes. So we would also like you to know that Dr. Michael Colonnane has this book. If we still have it, if we don't have it already, you please list down your names to reserve the Parian of Cebu City, a historical overview from 1565 to 1898. So please reserve your copy if you don't have it anymore. Napata, kurot na. Kini nila nabilin, baligyan rin ako. Sige, usa na lang. So, lista lang mo. So daghang salamat, Dr. Mike. So now we go to the next question for you. So tell us about the establishment of the Parian Parish. So there is the Parian District and there is also the Parian Parish.
Yeah, and I think some of that we've already mentioned, but I can look at the conflict. I think that one thing to mention, I think beforehand, because you brought up Conching Briones. So the book that I published on the Chinese mestizos of Cebu is dedicated to Conching. Yeah. So if you look in the front of the book, that it's dedicated to her, because I learned a lot from her. We spent a lot of time together talking about Parian, and she was very nostalgic about the Parian, and that was my interest in it. What developed from her, but I think what we want to do now is figure out how did the Parian end? What was its demise? Do you want to say more about it? I think one of the things that everyone wants to know about is who are the people who were the residents of the Parian. And this is a problem because you have 1849 is not only an important day for the Parian when it was suppressed by the Spanish, but it's another important date for everyone in the Philippines. It is the date when Filipinos received apellidos, family names, the first time. And it was imposed by Governor General Claveria in 1849. And therefore, in order to find out what people's family names were, their apellido, this doesn't really even begin to happen in Cebu until 1849. So until you get to almost to the end of this period, we suddenly begin to understand that some of the people living there have names like Osmeña, Veloso, Suico, Noel, Mercado, and a whole series of others, including Sanson, which we know about. These names don't even appear until the 1850s when Filipinos get. And therefore, we then, at that point, can begin to put together a list of prominent people, who's related to who, and how families are linked. And that starts then in the middle of the 19th century.
Yes. So, Dr. Mike, we already have other questions also for you from our audience online. So we have Michelle is asking, were there special rules for taxation, and why wasn't it called a Chinatown like Binondo?
I think actually Binondo wasn't really called a Chinatown until the Americans came.
Yes. So Binondo is not also Parian. There is another there
Yeah,
is
the old
another Parian
the
in
Parian was actually outside the gates of Intramuros in Manila, and
yes.
it's there. But Binondo became later. Keep in mind that as we're saying, it was only in the early days where Chinese were actually, in a sense, enforced to live in a particular place in an urban area. But when you reach the 1850s, Chinese could move everywhere. And here's another thing to remember is after the 1850s, far more Chinese came to the Philippines than ever had before. And the reason is because in the 1850s and the 1860s, the economy of the Philippines grew immensely. And there was a lot more economic activity that drew large numbers. So the new generation of Chinese were not forced into a Parian. They went to Binondo, which was the market area and the place where all of the things were being sold. When the Chinese in the Cebu come in the 1850s and 60s, they don't go to Parian. They go to Recoletos. They go to the coastal areas of Lutaos, and that's the commercial district that shifts out of Parian in the late 19th century.
So Dr. Mike, there is another question. Um so so Jake is also still asking about the Chinatown before the Spanish. There was no Chinatown before the Spaniards came. So, Jake, Dr. Mike was already saying that our trading with the Chinese was at the shore, at the at the not inside. And then so Ferdy is maybe we would take this up later, about the Japanese presence in the country. Carmen Gahudu Walsh, she is I guess is based in the U.S. also. My mom Adelmar said they lived in the Parian. There were some of them who were related. So thank you very much for sharing, Carmen. So now we would like to have this question for Gavin. Daghang salamat, Dr. Mike, for that. And so we would like to ask Gavin to tell us about. So may we have Gavin, uh, Mike too, our tech team. May we have Gavin? So now
I'm
we would
here.
like to have this question for Gavin. So we would like to ask Gavin, the author of this book, Out of Parian, um, essays on Cebuano heritage. So we
Yes.
would like to ask Gavin regarding what role did the Jesuits and the Chinese community play in the Parian?
Um, yes, the Jesuits are really credited for proselytizing the citizens of Parian before it was even a parish. No, so around this was in Conching Briones's book, around 1590, as written by Pedro Cherino, a Jesuit, that they baptized 200 Chinese, so maybe heads of families. We will ask Mike later to confirm that. So 200 Chinese, and two of them became the principal or the dons of that place, no, the leaders. So fast forward from 1590 to 1595, and then we reach a point that the Jesuits moved to Mandaue. And after having founded, I think, Colegio de San Ildefonso, which always they say is the San Carlos of today, but actually it's a different institution. So anyway, Mike will tell us more about that probably if we had the time. So 1614, it was already a diocesan parish, not under the Jesuits. So I believe the misconception started with a book of Horacio de la Costa in 1961 that said that Parian was founded by the Jesuits in 1603. I don't know where he got it. Or maybe it was a typo that escaped the editor at the time. So a lot of people, because Father Horacio de la Costa was very influential, maybe thought that he was right and that Parian was Jesuit, but it is not. Mandaue was Jesuit, and Señorita Gemma could attest that. We were at the Carillon the other day in Mandaue. Yeah. So Parian was diocesan. So where's Father Mejia? Anyway, so that's it.
So, dahil salamat, Gavin, for that. So, you have been, Gavin would tell us more about the scandals in in Cebu, if he still has. To, chismis, nahurot na in the previous discussion in June. So, you should visit again or watch again our discussion on the love and scandals in Old Cebu with Gavin Sanson Bagares and his description about love and what is a scandal. And then, so of course, we also have here at Palmgrass, if naapay nabilin, our the book Glimpses of Old Cebu by Images of the Colonial Era by Lucy or Helio Miller. So this has very important facts about Cebu during the Spanish period and during the early 1900s, and it has so many photos of Cebu in ancient times. Og naapatay na bilin diha. If wala na, lista lang gihapon. So now we would go back again to Dr. Mike Collinane. So we would like to ask Dr. Mike to elaborate more about why was the Parian Parish erased and why was the Parian Church demolished?
Great questions, and I can go on forever, but I won't. But I first would want to confirm what Gavin said, because he's dead right. In other words, that the Jesuits come very early to Cebu, but they don't know what they're going to do yet until it's sorted out. But the most important thing that I think we forget about is that, and Gavin stressed this, was that Cebu City, the cathedral, was not a Jesuit or an Augustinian parish. It was a secular parish. It was a diocesan parish. Therefore, when the Parian was established, it was not in 1614 as a parish. It was not established as a Jesuit parish. It was established as a diocesan parish under the secular clergy, and the Augustinians had no control over it. And then what happens, of course, is the Jesuits are expelled. So that once the Jesuits in the 1760s are expelled from the entire Spanish colonies, it ends up that the Mandaue lands and the lands that they had are transferred to other priests, and eventually end up with the Recoletos. As we move forward in time, for a short period of time, it also becomes a diocesan parish, but then it reverts to the Recoletos when they start to come later. But if we look at the Parian itself, I think, why did the Parian get abolished? Why did the parish get suspended? This, of course, is a major part of the book that I wrote. And it starts for me in 1815 with 𝗏𝗏𝗏's rebellion. So if we analyze the rebellion of 𝗏𝗏𝗏 in 1815, we understand that this was an Augustinian influenced rebellion by Fray Julian Bermejo, who influenced local people, including 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and his family, to raid Cebu. And their enemies, when they went up there with Father Bermejo's approval, was the alcalde, the Spanish alcalde, and the Chinese mestizos of Parian. And so therefore, this begins a long feud that develops between the Augustinians, who are supporting their own parishes and the hinterland of Cebu, and the Spanish alcaldes. And I think one of the turning points of this takes place, and we identify two really very wealthy, powerful Chinese mestizos in this feud in 1815, Blas Crisostimo Valle, and Gabino Rosales, who was a Reyes. So the Reyes and Valle families were already known at this time to be, but they weren't using the family names. The main criteria then becomes a struggle between the Augustinians, who are trying to secure their jurisdiction over lands, versus the Chinese mestizos of the Parian, who are trying to spread out. Where are they spreading? They're spreading out of Parian, and if you head up towards the mountains of Parian, where do you go? You enter Cogon. to 𝗵𝗃𝗃, to 𝗬𝗏𝗪, to 𝗵𝗏𝗀. You start to move up on the edge of the mountains. And all of this land was claimed by the Augustinians. And the Chinese mestizos clearly claimed it as a part of their parish. They also included Lutaos in this. So this begins then in 1829, everything flips. Right? In 1829, Fray Santos Gomez Marañón, an Augustinian, becomes the Bishop of Cebu. He allies with the then Manuel Romero, who was the alcalde. So this is the first time that the Spanish bishop and the Spanish alcalde are united. And who is the enemy? The Chinese mestizos. So if you want to look for Romero's name, you can go to Fort San Pedro and look up on the monument. He was the one who restored Fort San Pedro in the 1820s and 1830s. And at that same time in the 1830s, the bishop, the Augustinian bishop, and the Spanish alcalde began a campaign to suppress the Parian Parish. The Parianos did not sit on their haunches. They immediately took the issue to Manila, and under the leadership of Catalino Veloso and Guillermo Osmeña, both of whom were educated at Santo Tomas, they took the fight all the way to Manila and eventually to Madrid. But in 1849, they all lost because the Spanish reorganized their government in the Cebu into an intendente general. The Intendente Manuel de la Canal swept into Cebu in 1849 and have all the others. Romero was gone, the bishop was gone, but he continued their effort. He abolished the Parian Lutaos parish, abolished it, and reduced Cebu City to a single diocesan parish and eliminated all of the pueblos. The Ciudad ceased to be a pueblo. The Parian ceased to be a pueblo. Lutaos ceased to be a pueblo, and the Parian parish was destroyed. At the same time, de la Canal asked that the Parian Church be demolished. This was an extreme thing, to demolish a church. It hadn't happened. So it took a long time from the 1849 to 1850, well into the 1870s, before the Parian Church was actually demolished. So it lasts for about 20 years, but it ceases to be a parish. So Cebu, overnight, 1849-50, converts to a city that had 3 pueblos and 2 parishes to a city that is only a city with 1 parish only, the cathedral, and with the Chinese mestizos and everyone else being put into 2 gremios, a gremio de naturales for the Cebuanos and others, and a gremio de mestizo sangle for the Chinese mestizos. At that time, from then on, 1849-50, Chinese mestizos moved all over the city, all over the province, all over the region, and began to become mga dagkong tao, across the entire region rather than just in that area. But they never had a parish ever again. And that ended at that point. And I think that's very significant to point out. And there's lots of results from that we can, of course, talk about. But it's one of the things that I'm interested in is the complicated word natural. Is that the Spanish are fond of using natural de, the person is born in a place. But what the Spanish had a hard time with was the Chinese mestizos were also naturales. They were all born in the Philippines, the same as other Cebuanos. And by the time you get to the late 19th centuries, being a Chinese mestizo, separate from being a native, began to slide together in a single identity that, of course, by the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century becomes Filipino. So it's a long story.
So, Dr. Mike, daghang salamat for sharing with us why about the conflicts in Parian. So you mentioned about this. It started with the 𝗬𝗏𝗋𝗋 uprising. So there are actually so many versions of the 𝗬𝗏𝗋𝗋 uprising, and one of the earliest was that it was the Asanson. That was the
Oh no,
that
that was Reynes. That's Jobers. Where is
yes.
where is
So
Jobers?
there was a version of that in the past that, as I said, Dr. Mike, we have Dr. Mike. Yes, there was a version of that in the past that there was a Blas Sanson who was the
Mistaken identity.
mistaken identity, and it was clarified in an article. So it was the first time in how many hundreds, because there were uprisings in Cebu in the early Spanish occupation in 1595 in Talisay, and also and then the Juan Diong uprising is already in the 1600s, Dr. Mike?
No,
1800s?
1815.
1815. So it's 1815. So so the conflict was on the land. So the Augustinians had a conflict also with the Chinese Chinese mestizo in Parian. So what were they quarreling about?
So the Augustinians are trying to protect their parishes. The Augustinian parishes in Cebu are declining in the early part of the 19th century. The Augustinians are in decline, and that Father Bermejo arrives at the beginning of the 19th century as the parish priest of Boljoon, and he basically wants to restore the Augustinian control over the southeastern coast of Cebu. And he's quite successful in that. His challenge, however, is the alcalde, the Spanish alcalde of Cebu, is in an alliance with Reynes, not Sanson, with Reynes and Valle over raising animals in like places like Naga, San Fernando, Carcar. And these are parishes owned and operated by the Augustinians that these Chinese mestizos are inserting their businesses into. And essentially the revolt is one that is both the resentfulness of some of the local Filipinos in alliance with their priests, the Augustinians, to resist the Chinese mestizo incursion into their area. So they march on Cebu City. There's a very definite description of this in a whole series of documents in the Philippine National Archives called Sediciones y Rebeliones. And it's a clear report on this entire affair. Anyone can get it and read it, and it's a fascinating document. But it basically sees the role of the Augustinians. That feud between the Augustinians and the Chinese mestizo entrepreneurs continues right on into the 1820s, the 1830s, the 1840s, and finally the Parian Parish is destroyed. And they have to wait for Father Vasquez to die, because San Rafael y Vasquez, the parish priest of the Parian, died in 1829. And he was a very Santo Tomas trained priest, secular clergyman, and a very powerful figure in this area. And the Augustinians and the Spaniards did not move on Parian until he died in 1829. Then they moved.
Yes. So daghang salamat. So it's actually a suppression of the entrepreneurship of the Chinese mestizo. So we would also remember, I also remember that Dr. Michael Collinane was describing that period when the watchtowers were being built by Father Julian Bermejo as the period of Reconquista, because of to recover from the retirada. So the Spaniards were on retreat. The Spanish colonial rule was on retreat because of the Gohoy rebellion, and also because of the attacks from the more Muslim raiders, from the sea raiders from Sulu and from Mindanao. So they were on the Spaniards were on retreat. So they tried to gain strength through the Reconquista, building the watchtower. So asa si Dr. Mike. So this is the period of Father Julian Bermejo. So they also think that the Chinese also were one of the reasons for their weak the weak the retirada of the Spanish colonial rule.
Yeah, so the Augustinian order, if you look at it, is undergoing a great depression during this time. They are not recruiting enough priests from Spain. Remember that friar orders were all peninsulares during this time. They were not raised in the Philippines. They were not Creoles. They were priests from Spain, and in that sense, they were fewer of them. And Father Bermejo was exceptional. I mean, because he was doing everything in his power to strengthen the Augustinian position in Cebu. And remember that the Augustinians, they gave up their parishes in Leyte, they gave up their parishes in other parts of the Visayas, and they were focusing then on maintaining and retaining their Cebu parishes. They had things in Iloilo and Panay, but in the central Visayas, it was all focused on moving from San Nicolas to Santander on the East Coast. That was Augustinian jurisdiction. Therefore, that's where Bermejo built his Bantayan Sahari. And that's also where he feuded with mestizos, Chinese mestizos, who were attempting to do business. All the Chinese mestizos wanted to do is make money by investing in different kinds of cattle raising and farming and provisioning of Cebu City and marketing stuff. And the Augustinians didn't like the idea that these fat cats, if you will, wealthy people from the city were coming in and throwing their weight around in a parish that was run by the Augustinians. So Bermejo was on a collision course, not only with Muslim raiders, but also with Chinese mestizos.
So, salamat, Dr. Mike, for sharing with us that information. So, now we would like to ask Dr. Mike. So, nasa tayo question for Gavin in a while. So, we would like to know. So, it has the Chinese mestizos had a conflict with the Augustinians, but in 1898, so the revolution, the anti-Spanish revolution, had already had its opening salvo on the Battle of 3 de Abril. So we would like to know if did Parian had a contribution to the anti-Spanish revolution in Cebu?
Yeah, and I think you need to just go and look at the walls of the Palmgrass Hotel.
Only Lucio Herrera Oichihon is there.
Lucio Herrera is not a Chinese mestizo. Lucio Herrera was a late coming Chinese. He was a very different kind of person, and his main thing was the late Spanish period and the early part of the 20th century, where he was a character. But a key figure in the revolution from the Chinese mestizo side was Marcial Velez, and he was very much involved. But the book, Arenas of Conspiracy and Revolution, that I tried to write in terms of saying who were the revolutionaries, if you just look at all of the sources that name revolutionaries in the 20th century, and Bagong Kusog and Ang Kagubot and all the other newspapers, the names that appear are the names that are put into that book. And in that book, if you go through the book, you'll find that very few of those names are people who came from the Parian or from the Chinese mestizo community. Not to say none of them were, but that the primary leaders of the revolution were members escribientes and people who worked for the government in the city of Cebu, and the residents and the principales of San Nicolas. So your Abelianas, your Padillas, people like this who are not from Cebu City, they're from San Nicolas. They were the primary founders and leaders of the revolutionary. And Luis Flores was a procurador of the Hacienda Pública. He was a bureaucrat who worked, and he loved the bishop at the point of time.
Yeah, so
I would to summarize this briefly, in my opinion, and I'd be happy to be shown to be wrong, that there were very few Chinese mestizo directly involved in the revolutionary struggle. Most of the leading members of the Chinese mestizos at that time, the 1890s, were high officials in the ayuntamiento, which was run by the Spanish and wealthy Filipinos in Cebu City. And therefore, they weren't really that interested in revolting.
Yeah, so they are now, so from being enemies of the Augustinians with the with the ayuntamiento, a city council, it's a sort of a city council with the leaders now are the Chinese mestizos of it's the Spanish, right? So they are now more Spanish in the ayuntamiento.
It's made up of wealthy and influential Filipinos, whether they're Chinese mestizos or not. Like Candido Padilla is also a member of it, but he's also a revolutionary. I mean, so there are San Nicolasnon who are part of the ayuntamiento, because remember, San Nicolas is merged into Cebu City in the 1890s against their will. And therefore that's partly why the San Nicolasnon revolt, because they don't want to be a part of Cebu City.
Yes. So it's San Nicolas is the hotbed of the revolution in Cebu. It is where most of the leaders of the 1898 Cebu Revolution resided, and also some from Cebu. There are also many from Cebu City who
Yes.
were leaders of the Cebu Revolution. So
including Gibelondo.
yes, it is in the house of the ancestors of 𝗵𝗃 Cebu Heritage Hotel, where the Battle of 𝗧𝗵𝗃 was decided, and also a major meeting of the leaders, appointment of the election of the leaders of the Cebu Revolution was also decided. So Lucio Herrera 𝗬𝗏𝗏 from the Gremio de Chino was one of the officers, even if he was not there because he was already arrested. He was arrested. He was his wife is his one of his wives was the sister of another Cebu revolutionary, Francisco Llamas, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Street. In our previous discussion with Gavin was the first to tell me, because I was reading. Our reference was Dr. Mike's bio sketches of the heroes and then of the leaders of the Cebu Revolution, and we saw that Lucio Herrera 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 only had one wife, the sister of 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 or Francisco Llamas. So that was why he joined the revolution. He was said to be the treasure of war of the Cebu Revolution, Lucio Herrera 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. But here comes Gavin last June and telling me he doesn't have only one wife. He also has another wife. And the name was, kinsa to, Gavin?
Aroa and also Habanero.
Duha
Yeah, I
pa.
think I
Two
can
more.
confirm that. They were not queridas, they were also wives.
Okay. So daghang salamat for that. So we have a Chinese who was Lucio Herrera was arrested, tortured, but of course he did not say anything. Also, he was also like freed during the was it he, was
Yeah.
it was he freed when the revolution was winning, or he was freed because he was from a prominent Chinese family? So now we have we would like you to know that Dr. Michael Ledin has this book here at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, The Battle for Cebu. I already mentioned this a while ago. So Karon, and also of course this very precious book, Arenas of Conspiracy and Rebellion, the bio sketches of the 300 leaders of the Cebu Revolution are the names are here, and we based our actually description of the heroes at the wallpaper at the headboard of Palmgrass rooms for heroes, mostly from the bio sketches here, except for those who were in the heroes in pre-colonial, or the Humabon, Tupas, Lapu-Lapu. So we would like you to know that we have here at Palmgrass some stickers made by the Cebu youth, Cebu children. So from the illustrator of the book, si Leon Kilat og ang sigbin nga gisugilan sa mga Sugbuanong bata. Christine Ann Sabaan, she was 16 when she illustrated the book, because we wanted the children to tell the story of our Cebu heroes, or the Battle of 𝗧𝗵𝗃 from their own imagination. But you also told what is the real story of the Battle of 𝗧𝗵𝗃. So we have Cebu hero stickers here. We have Leon Kilat, and we have other heroes. So now we also have the book 𝗬𝗃𝗏𝗏 by 𝗵𝗏𝗀𝗏, published by Pamgar sa Cebu Heritage Hotel, also available at our basahanan. So now, Gavin, so please tell us from your point of view, how do you see the Parian today compared to its historical past?
Before that, I'd like to add, 𝗍𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗏 was also involved.
Chinese.
Yeah, Chinese mestizo.
Mestizo. Mm.
I think he was incarcerated because he supported, I think, the revolution. So very few of them, no?
So
Mentioned
I
Marshall
remember
Bell.
Gavin was telling us when I asked Gavin in the Love and Scandal in Old Cebu last June, for you, what is the greatest love story in the Old Cebu or in Old Parian? Kinsa ganito? Si Don Pedro Cue.
𝗍𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗏
He
and
died
𝗍𝗶𝗃𝗏
a
Aveles.
virgin and a martyr. He loved one woman, but the woman he loved said, "Insikra kaayo ka." And then, so Don Pedro Cue vowed not to love someone else and loving only this woman until death. And he died a virgin and a martyr because of this woman who told him, "Insikra kaayo ka." Mao na, Gavin.
Yeah, 𝗍𝗃𝗏 Aveles, who married a Camara, and they settled in Carmen, Cebu.
So now the question, how do you see Parian now? So I think Dr. Michael Linane already mentioned about the Parian was the people, the residents in Parian settled in other places. The Chinese mestizos no longer just stayed at Parian. So tell us
Yeah,
your
so the Parian that we all sort of remember is the one painted by Conching Briones, no, Mayak's mom. So it was it was a memoir of her life and times in Parian. So we have a very nice picture of the time. It was supposed to be the Maria Luisa of the time, or the Beverly Hills, no, at that time, no. So now we can see that Parian has deteriorated so much. And we learned from Max Limpag's interview with Vice Mayor Raymond Garcia that he has plans for the city. So maybe we should ask Max later, how far gone are the plans? Have they been executed already? So one thing that I think Vice Mayor Raymond Garcia, we would call on him to, um, ramp up the cleanliness drive and the security of downtown, because Parian goes beyond the borders of just Parian Barangay. It has its former barrios or sitios when it was a pueblo, like Likod and Zapatera and all those places that's around it. So security, cleanliness, I don't think we can do much about the floods just yet, because I think everywhere it floods, even in Banilad, even in Lahug. So Cebu is a floodplain. But cleanliness, security should be round the clock if we want Parian and its environs to be a heritage district. Because if you want walking tours and there's a flood, what can you do? We need a
sailing tour.
truck. Huh?
Sailing tour.
Sailing tour. We need bangkas for that, no? So, not a criticism. It's I know Raymond feels for the city. In fact, they restored an old house in Gorordo that they got from the Neri side, no? So, yeah, just a little push to really make plans come true, because somebody complained that during the fiesta, the fire trucks were obstructing the area of the chapel. And that's something that should not have been done on that day. Permanently, yeah, I know, because it's already the fire station, but maybe an arrangement could be done, Lou, no? To put it elsewhere, or to free up certain space so that the worshippers or the parishioners or whatever of the Parian chapel, because it's now just a chapel, could really I don't think enjoy, but have a good experience during the fiesta. So
So
yes,
there
yes.
are actually questions. I guess this is for some are for Dr. Mike Collinane. So we have actually one more question for Dr. Mike later regarding the lost patron saint San Vidal. So there is Gabriel is Gonzalez, who is in Georgia right now, is asking what is the full name of Father Bermejo. It's Father Julian Bermejo, OSA, Order of Saint Augustine. So Michelle is asking, Varon, did the decline lead to an exodus of Parian residents to other towns or islands? May we have Dr. Mike now? So, Dr. Mike, there is a question for, I guess this is for you. If the decline or the demolition, this is for the parish. So, the parish was erased and the parish was erased and the church was demolished. The Parian declined. So the question is, if did the decline in Parian, or did Parian had a decline? Did the decline lead to an exodus of the Parian residents to other towns or islands?
Yeah, it did, but it was a natural decline. People were not forced out of Parian. I mean, people left the Parian because they moved. The younger sons of Chinese Mestizo families moved to Karkar, moved to Leyte, moved to Malitbog, moved to Palampong. You know, they moved all over. They moved to the Contra Costa. The Noel family moved to Balamban. You know, so that what we see is a movement of wealthy Filipinos out of the Parian into becoming landowners. And keep in mind what is happening at exactly the same time. It's not a surprise that this happened, and it may have happened even if the Parian had not been abolished. Is it in the 1860s, Cebu was opened as an open port economically. That changed the entire Visayas in northern Mindanao. Therefore, you find Boromeos in Cagayan de Oro. You know, you find people all over. People move to Bohol. You know, I mean, so it's Chinese mestizos, and not only Chinese mestizos, but Ciudadanos in general moved all over the Visayas to take advantage of different kinds of economic opportunities, that families were on the move in very different ways. And there was no reason. So the residential districts of Parian did not necessarily decline right away to the point that Gavin is now talking about. That took quite a bit longer, and I think I would stress that Gavin already stressed this, but that part of Cebu City, those esteros and Pili Kanipaan in these districts, they are swamps. I mean, and large portions of even Panting in the areas that are between Tanago and Likod and Parian, these were lakes. They were swamps. And what happened was you drained them and you tried to, but every time it rains, they're once again swamps. So Cebu City was perhaps not supposed to be built there.
Yes. So we actually discussed that with Dr. Jan Peterson about Naughan, the lost waterways in Cebu. So it's discussed that those bodies of water that were covered, actually, it did not happen. It happened during the Spanish period, because we would like to, of course, we have discussed this many times here at Pamgras, that our ancestors, the pre-colonial Cebuanos, revered the bodies of water, the seas, nature, as there are deities there living there. But during the Spanish period, they no longer believe that there are deities or nature spirits in those bodies of water, so they would cover them up. And then so when it rains, so according to Dr. Mike, the lakes and the swamps that were covered becomes a lake and a swamp again.
If you look at the map, the 1842 map,
1842 map.
Yeah, the one that I sent.
Yes.
You can see it pretty clearly, and that's 1842, and you can see how the Spanish built a kind of a waterway around the Spanish Quarter. You know, that separated the Spanish Quarter from Tinago, from Panting, from Parian, and also from Lutaos on both sides, the north and south. It's a clear waterway that this was not a natural waterway. It was constructed.
They would like to see the map to Mike, to the map, the colored map. Yes. So we are still looking for the map.
It's a very beautiful map.
Yes.
The engineer, the Spanish engineer who made it was brilliant. But I think that's a part of the story. Like when a heavy rain comes, the waterways reproduce themselves and the lakes reproduce themselves. They eventually subside. And then of course the Parian, the Rio de Parian actually became an estero, a canal, which it is today. Just basically it backs up onto the houses and it's used for garbage and everything else.
Katong map bitaw nga colored. Sige. So while we are still looking for that map, so we have other questions regarding Father Julian Bermejo. This is from Mark Anthony Galan. So he is asking, he is called 𝗷𝗃𝗃𝗏. He was called as 𝗷𝗃𝗃𝗏. Did Father Julian Bermejo had a background in combat, in actual combat?
Yeah. Is that a lot of them did, even some of the Recoletos, so that when they attack 𝗸𝗃𝗀𝗃 and destroy the 𝗸𝗃𝗀 things, Father Bermejo leads the troops. And he's already been building the Bantayan Sahari and the Baluartes all up and down the east. There it is. All up and down the east coast of Cebu. And when these attacks occur, he is actually in the battle. Apparently he was a large man who knew how to use the sword and perhaps even weapons. But he also attacked, he attacked liberated Bohol. He was on the attack with Governor General Ricafort. He was a part of the invasionary force together with the head of the Recollect Church from Danao. They both joined the people who went with them to attack the 𝗸𝗃𝗀 rebels and actually restored order to Bohol.
Yes, so you would see the monument of Father Julian Bermejo there in Oslob. So in front of the ruins of a baluarte or a watchtower is the monument of Father Julian Bermejo. He looks just like Dr. Michael Linane with a beard. So do we have the map that we want to see the old?
I have never. Okay. So if you look at
zoom in.
Look at the waterway, like coming in from the Tinago area on the north side, next to the Colegio de San Carlos, the old one, the Jesuit school, and it swings all the way through. It's the borderline of the Parian, which is on the left side of it. Then it swings around all the way around towards San Nicolas and comes out in Lutao. So the entire city is encircled by a waterway that was actually at various points in times a swamp and kind of already watery areas that were cleared out and organized in this manner. And I think anyone who studies the sort of environment of this urban area, they will see that it's constructed. And therefore, you'd expect when the water pours down out of the mountain areas through the riverines, it's going to go to its natural settlements that were these various lakes that existed. And you can see the entire circling of the Spanish Quarter on this map with a waterway. And the buildings on the left, of the houses, that's Parian. So if you look at, this is 1842. If you look at this map in 1842, where are the biggest houses in Cebu where it is obviously the richest people live? Right straight in Parian. Look how dispersed and how small the buildings are, including the cathedral, San Agustin, the governor's palace, the Colegio, Fort San Pedro. Those are all big things. But in terms of residences and houses where people live, Parian is way bigger. It's much more. And then you go out to San Nicolas where we are there. So, and that waterway, what they separated, what they called, the Spanish called it the extramuros, that the intramuros was inside the waterway, the extramuros. And here's what's so funny. Muro is wall, but Cebu didn't have any walls. It just had a waterway. But they still use the term muro.
So Hi, Dr. Mike, our audience here wants to know where can we get a copy of this map? Is this in your book?
Yes.
Is
It,
it in Integración and Internación?
yes.
Here, but then we have only one copy left, but you can list down your name if you want to have a copy of this. I don't know if you still have it. Maybe this is for sale or there is another one. So,
The original of this map is in the Archivo Histórico Nacional in Madrid. That's where we found it. Jobers also found it. I found it because a friend of mine went to the archives in Madrid and found the map and sent it to me right away.
yes. So, Dr. Mike, there are more questions that we thank from La Liga reenactors Kenzie Villa for joining. And also, Carmen is saying, Carmen Gahudo was used to live in Isidro Gibelondo Street. So we're so happy, Carmen, for that. And also, Donna Torion is watching from Taguig City and Pateros. So Rico Osmeña is saying the Cebuano roots are Malay and Chinese. The Sansons, Osmeñas, Velosos, Suicos. Paula Solit is watching from Western Bikuta National High School. And Ahmed Quezon is saying that.
Hi, Ahmed. How are you?
Ahmed. So, Ahmed, Dr. Michael Lenane is coming to Cebu like maybe within this year or early next year. So,
To buy Gavin's book.
yeah, he wants a copy of the Out of Parian to be in the library of University of Wisconsin in Madison. So Ahmed is asking, how did the ownership of that property block of the old Parian Church pass on to the city government? Because that piece of property is now occupied by the Parian Fire Station, the Parian Drop-In Center for Street Children, and part of the city government now. So before it's owned by the Chinese mestizo, is it owned by the Chinese was it owned by the Chinese mestizos? And how it transferred? How did the property change owner? How did the property change ownership?
That's a huge story.
Dili mahuman karong adlaw.
First of all, it's a church. So by the time that the church property was owned by the Diocese of Cebu under the jurisdiction of the bishop. So that in fact the controversy took place in the 1890s when the governor of Cebu, Junquera, wanted to build a theater. And he chose to build the theater on that location because the church had been torn down. And it was a nice open space in Cebu City. This was pre-Bomberos. The Bomberos was not there yet. And he decided, the governor of Cebu decides he's going to build his teatro there. And the bishop put a sign up on it saying, this is church property. No, you are not building a teatro. And that controversy started right away in the 1890s. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. So you can go into the Philippine Supreme Court records and find a case that comes because when Florentino Ralios becomes the mayor of Cebu City, he once again opens the issue of who owns that land. Is it the city land or is it the church land? And in this case, the church ended up doing it, but then eventually the city got the right to put the bomberos there, and then the church built the chapel. So it is not an easy short version story. The story of that property is in a Supreme Court case, and it went all the way to the Philippine Supreme Court. So Ahmad, you have a lot to read.
Ahmed, so you have to go to the Supreme Court decision. Dahil salamat, Dr. Mike. So we're so amazed of your research, Dr. Mike. You went up to the records of the Supreme Court. If you would see this book, the bio sketches of heroes, he actually went through the records of the churches where the heroes of Cebu were born. Municipal and church records. So nanay question on site, pero kadyot lang ha. Last two questions na ni. Last two questions for Dr. Mike. For napatay, you have questions more from the audience mo. Karon nagyud ka. So si journalist Max Limpag wants to interact already right now. So, dili ni gyud magpapugong. So, mulakaw na ka? Di pa. Oh, sige. So, we have, pwede diri dapit. Diri is dapit. Nana siya audio, dayon. So, we have Max Limpag. So, isaka ko na ng mic. I-adjust
Hi,
ang mic.
Dr. Mike.
Hi, how are you?
Camera niya.
Just to share an update related to the bomberos, I interviewed acting mayor Raymond Garcia, and he said that their plan is to, because right now it's serving as a motor pool. You'll have fire trucks, you'll have all this equipment crowding that area. Acting Mayor Garcia said that as soon as they finish, I think in a command center that they're setting up, they will remove all the equipment from that area and try to, um, improve the sanitation, the safety of the place. And I think you mentioned about removing that fence from the making it into an actual park that people would love to go to. That's his promise. So I'm doing a story about this forum. This gives me the opportunity to ask him again for an update on his promise, because at that time he was still 1 month in office, and he said, give me some time because I've just been a month as acting mayor. So I'll follow it up.
So, thank you.
I have one comment on that, only because I hope that they never destroy the basketball court where you can play it with chinelas.
Chinelas lata, batulata. So we have more questions online also, but we want to have these last two questions for Dr. Mike and for Gavin. So after that, you would entertain questions from the audience and also read some more questions with what the time would allow us. So we have for Dr. Mike, we would like to ask, so because we're talking about everything lost here, the lost Parian Church, the lost parish, the lost, we would like to know your insights about the lost patron saint of Cebu, San Vidal. Why is it that this patron saint is not very much popular among the Cebuanos right now? The first patron saint of Cebu, San Vidal.
Yeah, I don't think San Vidal ever was, but he had his glory days. There were glory days for San Vidal, and I think Max knows some of these because I think he's written about it also. But so if you go back, what made San Vidal, the reason that San Vidal exists in Cebu to begin with is because Legazpi discovered the Santo Niño on San Vidal Day. And therefore and that's complicated because it's April 28th, but where was Legazpi in the world on April 28th, and where was it, in Rome, was it still the 28th? So the date is complicated, but when they discovered the Santo Niño, it was on San Vidal Day. And keep in mind that at that time, Santo Niño did not have a feast day, that the feast day of Santo Niño was not created by Rome until 1721. So from the 1565 on, that in that whole period, San Vidal is the person that if you want to celebrate the Santo Niño, you did it on April 28th, on the Dia de San Vidal. And therefore San Vidal led the earliest processions that honored the Santo Niño were led by San Vidal, which he was the patron of the city and of the cathedral. And remember that Santo Niño was not in the cathedral. Santo Niño is in the Augustinian monastery because it's controlled by the Augustinians. So that all changed in 1721 when Santo Niño had his own feast day, which was calculated, and everybody knows the Dia de Santo Niño now is a major festival. That started in the 1720s, and therefore nobody needed San Vidal anymore. He was stuck back on a shelf back in the cathedral. But the only reason that he was ever brought out is because, not because of the cathedral honoring San Vidal, but because the Cabildo de Cebu, which was the Spanish government of Cebu City up until the 1750s, they had San Vidal as the saint of the city. And therefore they would have a procession up until around the time that the Cabildo was abolished. So then the Cabildo is abolished, and San Vidal disappears into the back rooms of the cathedral once again. And it goes on and on and on. And then in 1890, the Ayuntamiento de Cebu is created. And when the Ayuntamiento of Cebu is created, they're trying to figure out, hey, who is the patron saint of Cebu City? Not the Santo Niño. The Santo Niño is the most worshipped icon perhaps in the whole Philippines, but it's not the patron saint of Cebu City. So the Ayuntamiento readopts San Vidal and carries San Vidal forward in all of their processions from throughout the 1890s. Then the ugly Americans show up, and the ugly Americans don't care who your patron saint is, and they have a city government that doesn't have a patron saint, because the Americans don't have patron saints in their city governments. So they shunt San Vidal back into the closet in the cathedral, where he's competed against by the Immaculate Conception, Santo Rosario, the Guadalupe, and a whole series of cathedral saints that are way more popular than San Vidal, and right up until the present. Until the present, I love the present, because in the last 15 years, San Vidal has been resurrected as a figure. He has a niche in the cathedral. He's still considered to be the patron saint of Cebu City at the cathedral, and they have a procession, even though it's not a popular procession, that Louis Nocorda, who has made the image of Santo Niño that exists in the cathedral. As far as I know, it's still there. I haven't been back for a while, but it's a beautiful image with his shovel, because San Vidal had to bury himself alive because the Romans were executing him. So but he's there. I actually love the fact that they've re-recognized in the cathedral San Vidal. He's back, but he's not popular.
So, dahil salamat, Dr. Mike. So, Dr. Mike was telling me in our technical test meeting a few days ago that San Vidal is his favorite saint because he looks like San Vidal also. He look like so many people, so many saints and heroes and warriors, Dr. Mike. So he said that actually San Vidal died a martyr because he died for the faith, because he was made to choose between Christianity and death, and he chose Christianity is equals to death, and he chose Christianity. That's why he was killed. So that's why Dr. Mike likes him, likes this the San Vidal as a saint. So of course, we know that according to Dr. Mike also, that the devotion to the Virgin Mary has been promoted in Cebu and the rest of the islands in the archipelago. Of course, it's very important because we would also like. It's my own. It's my own opinion, Dr. Mike, because they need to do that because in ancient times, in pre-colonial times, when Christianity was not yet here, only the women, only the women and the feminized men can talk with the gods. And then, of course, only the women were the priests or the only the women. I think they believe that only the woman, the feminine, can communicate with the gods. So nothing can there is nothing that happens in the society. If they want to go to war, if they want to build a house, if they want to cut a tree, they need always to communicate with the nature spirits, the ancestor spirits, or the deities, and they need a woman to do that. So for spiritual matters, it is always the woman who would communicate with the deities, the gods in ancient times. So that's why now in the new religion, the according to our previous discussion, the Babaylan became the leaders in the parish in the church, and then of course there should be the Virgin Mary.
There's
So
one exception,
yes,
the baby Jesus.
yes, the baby Jesus was an anito. They considered it as a rain god. So Juana, the wife of �𝗏𝗏, put it among her uh, side by side with her anitos, and they considered it as a rain god. So they thought that it has magical powers because they would ask rain from it. According to Father Chirino, that also in the book by Dr. Rizel Mujares, The Feast of the Santo Niño, is also available here at Palmgrass, that the natives would bring the Santo Niño to the sea if they want rain. And then they would take off his clothes and submerge it in water and ask the Santo Niño, give us rain. If you don't give us rain, you don't get out from the water. And the Santo Niño, the Holy Child, always always gave them rain. Of course, he wouldn't get out of there if rain wouldn't come. So that's the last question from me for Dr. Mike. That's about San Vidal. I have also a question, the last question for Gavin, and we would entertain some more questions before we announce the winners. Dr. Mike will have his closing words, and also we will give you the announcement of the winners of the speech contest. So now I would like to have Gavin. So we would also like you to know that here at Palmgrass we have First Friday Mass at 3 p.m. every first Friday of the month, and we also have religious items like the Santo Niño. Asa na to? Santo Niño, gagmay nga Santo Niño, and some Divine Mercy religious items. The Divine Mercy sisters really came here and brought the Divine Mercy religious items to be displayed here at Palmgrass Sinugatan Gifts from Cebu. So now this is the question for Gavin. So this is not already inside Parian, but it's also concerns a Chinese mestizo, I think. So this is for the Buwan ng Wika. He wants me to ask him this question. so Gavin, so you were mentioning about Vicente Soto. Of course, he has roots. You said also Dr. Mike said he has roots in Binondo, and but he is the one who promoted Cebuano in the theater. The first play in Cebuano was produced by him. He also published the first paper in Visayan in the Cebuano language. So you said you want to discuss Vicente Soto's conflict with the 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏s and the Sansons. So, sige, Gavin.
You know what? Let's make a preamble. No, August is a very significant month because first, Buwan ng Wika, and Vicente Soto is considered the father of Cebuano language, culture, and literature. And then also August is the celebration of the martyrdom of Saint John the Baptist, who has significance in Parian, still celebrated as the saint, the patron saint, Pugot Ulo, that's the martyrdom this month. And then also the Augustinian celebration.
San Juan Bautista is the
patron saint
of the Parian
Parish. No? So we have it there every June 24, and we have a little Triduum every month, this month. And also, I meant to say that I'm lost.
Yes,
no.
so
I can remember.
The conflict between Vicente Soto and the 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏s and the Sansons.
Yeah, then the Triduum of Saint John the Baptist, which happens this month, and also it's the feast day of Saint Augustine. And that's why he has significance, because of the conflict between the Agustinians and the Chinese mestizos. The governor of Cebu, the alcalde, that's how they called the governor before, always Spanish. And the Agustinians were Spanish versus the Chinese mestizos who were spreading all over Talamban, Banilad. I think that included the Uanos, claiming already the lands, and the Spaniards were threatened, both the alcalde and his interests, and also the Augustinian priest of the church that we now call the Santo Niño Church. So that's why we bring up Vicente Soto, because of the significance of the Buwan ng Wika. And I want to throw back the question to my Colonine, why he had this long-standing feud with Don Sergio Osmeña, and why? Because Marilu Bernardo is here. We want to hear from you, Mike.
So supposedly it's Gavin who would answer the question, and now so actually after this we will have Gabriel Gonzalez to react. She is now in the university. She is studying now. She was here during the discussion of the love and scandal of Old Cebu in Old Cebu, and she would be reacting from university. I mean from Georgia. She is studying at the University of North Georgia. So anyway, do we have Mike, Dr. Mike again? So Dr. Mike, it is Gavin who is asking you the question, why did Don Vicente Soto? So we have actually a book on Don Vicente Soto here by Dr. Risil Mujares, the Maverick Senator Vicente Soto, and this is available here at Congress, the Cebu Heritage Hotel.
Why not?
So Dr. Mike, are you now very sleepy? Is it now 4
Yeah, I
a.m.?
think it's this is an early 20th century thing that emerges out of the Philippine Revolution, which Soto was very much affected by. But he was what was at the time, Soto himself and his brother Filimon, they were both libre pensador. You know, in other words, they believed in free thinking, and they didn't want to have their philosophy of life and the way they understood life to be determined by the church. You know, and this, of course, led, therefore, the Catholic Church of Cebu, especially Mariano Cuenco, who was the father of all the other Cuencos, had a newspaper called Ang Kamatauran. You know, it was the direct opposition of Ang Suga and El Pueblo, which were the newspapers of the Sotos. Those two newspapers fought each other for political things in Cebu from the early 1900s all the way up until the teens. Mariano Cuenco was a strong supporter of the church. His son, Jose Maria Cuenco, became a priest and later a bishop. You know, his son, Mariano Cuenco, who became the politician, was very pro-church. So Osmeña was interesting in this because Osmeña has to decide in around 1904, 1905, he's early supported by Ang Suga, you know, in this early thing, but is he going to move against the church, or is he going to ally with the church? His wife, his first wife, the Chong Veloso, was allied with the church, was very active in the cathedral and did a lot of things. So Don Sergio ended up not being necessarily a super devout Catholic, but he allied within the politics of Cebu with that group of people who were against Soto. You know, and it ended up, therefore, they became more or less enemies politically, both in political feuds, but also, and remember also that Soto at the time supported the Aglipayans. I mean, he felt very strongly, because he was a libre pensador, you do not tell me how to think. You know, I think the way I like, and I think that it's perfectly reasonable for people to be Aglipayans. You know, and that was a giant issue at the early 20th century. And the Catholic Church was furious with anyone who supported the Aglipayan movement. And Soto did. In fact, for a while, he even joined the Aglipayans, but I think that was never really true because Vicente Soto never really joined any church because he was libre pensador. You know, he felt that by choosing a religion. So the natural feud was not religious between Osmeña and Soto. It was political, you know, and I think it could be driven, and one of the rhetorical issues upon which they could debate was religion. But I think it was the young upstart, Don Sergio, comes into town having been a collaborator with the Spanish in the older period, and moves right in to become very popular with the governor, 𝗏𝗏𝗏. They're very close. He becomes a campaigner. So it's that early history of Cebu politics in the 20th century is fascinating. And Soto is the major person who's moving everyone, trying to move everyone in another direction, but fails because 𝗏𝗏𝗏 wins.
Yeah, so it's a political thing. And how about this Sanson, this Quintilina Sanson case?
Oh, yeah, yes.
So
Oh,
does Dr. Mike want to talk about this, or ikaw lang?
He knows this.
So,
Mike, we
man
need more of you. You're the main star here.
No, I think you're talking about the feud with which one of the Sansons?
I think first the abduction case. That's interesting because she's a menor de
Quintiliana?
edad.
I think
And
that's
tell us-
something that you could talk more easily about.
No, but I mean, I need your
It's
back.
so close to your heart.
No, not anymore.
So would you like to talk about this?
No, yes. Siguro, no, we have to talk about it. Yeah. So there was this abduction case, as you well know, Mike. And
Yeah, I know the abduction
I'm
case.
interested in this girl, because I don't have much information about her. Was she indeed Vicente Soto's menor de edad lover, one-time lover, or she was a lived-in partner?
The way that the judge of this was an American Wislanist, and he was a very conservative judge of the CFI of Cebu, and therefore there were cases like this. Cebu is not the only place that had cases like this, and therefore one of the things that could happen is wealthy men could move through the society in different ways in the past. The American, when you get these sort of Protestant, conservative American values that comes into the scene, they made a case out of, I think, Texon of Tarlac or Pampanga. He was accused of this and was in trouble, and Vicente Soto. So it becomes political when you charge him with abduction. And he was charged with abduction. So I think Aquilina Vasquez was her name. And she ended up getting married to someone who worked for Vicente Soto. That seemed to be arranged so that he could get out of it. But he was exiled. And so the political intrigue is not well documented. But clearly to me, there was a political intrigue. In other words, that 𝗏𝗏𝗏 perhaps, and maybe not just 𝗏𝗏𝗏, but other people who were opposed to Soto's libre pensador, and certainly the Cuencos would have been very happy that this happened, is that he was exiled to Hong Kong because he escaped to Hong Kong before he was put in prison in the Philippines for abducting a minor. And so the case would have gone all the way to the Supreme Court of the Philippines, but it never did. Judge Wislanus in Cebu accused him, made him guilty. He then escaped to Hong Kong. And the British, here's what's so interesting. The British who protected Soto, seeing him more as a political enemy of the American state rather than a moral enemy. So the British did not extradite Soto. They allowed him to stay in Hong Kong, where he stayed for quite some time. When he returned, the court in the Philippines would not allow him to go back and live in Cebu. But he visited Cebu very often, and he made his base of operations after that in Manila, where his independent newspaper came up. And he was forever an enemy in politics of the Partido Nacionalista. He became a Democrata. He became a Frente Popular. He joined a whole series of other movements, whereas his brother, Filimon, became a prominent nationalista with 𝗏𝗏𝗏. So it's a very complicated story, and I don't have any more evidence than was in the court of first instance and in the newspapers. And the newspaper that attacked the Soto the most during this time was Ang Kamatauran, the editor of which was Mariano Cuenco. Mariano Albao Cuenco, the father of the Cuenco.
So, daghang salamat. So we now know the other side. So we always look at Don Vicente Soto, really, he is one of the heroes of Cebu because, of course, the hospital is named in honor of Don Vicente Soto. He produced plays that are really for love of country. During the American period, he produced plays like really like loving the country. So just like we talk about his achievements and not his other
Very
things.
kind.
so so now we will have the questions later. So we'll have first we will have, is Gabriel around? So we have as one, she was here last June 15 before she left the United States for the United States. Before she left Cebu for the United States, she was here to for the first time. She was actually very interested in 𝗬𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗏. She was interacting in the page of Pancras, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, regarding 𝗬𝗀𝗃𝗏. She was one of the models when the Out of Parian one of the models when Out of Parian was launched. She is also now a student of the University of North Georgia. And when I asked her what's her definition in our previous discussion, love and scandal in Old Cebu, what was her definition of love? A witty definition of love. Her definition was, love is like suka, makapasok sa ba. No, but it is not the that is burned, but the heart. So love. So for those those in on Luzon, so Gabriel said, love is like vinegar that can burn your mouth, but it is not the mouth that is burned, but your heart. So murag burnt ni siya. Murag, who would want to soothe her broken heart? So now we have to react to this discussion right now. We have Gabriel Gonzalez, also a descendant of tarong ay mong camera gab. So, so
Nagilit
she is
kayo,
also a
gigapoy ko.
descendant of, there are heroes. The Gonzaleses were one of those leaders of the revolution in Cebu in 1898. Patunga imong
What's up,
pwede.
what's up, what's up?
Oh,
Ano?
kana. Sige, it's 4 a.m. there in Georgia.
5 a.m. actually.
5 a.m.
5:25.
She was talking with me online since this morning. So, sige Gab. Pwede dako siya.
Maayong gabi for us, Dr. Cullinan. Literally. But honestly, I just want to say thank you so much for just coming and answering my email and talking about all of this. Like, it really inspires me to do something with my major as a history student. And maybe one day I could write something about Cebu or go off your work, you know? Because I love it. Like, I literally stayed up this late to listen. But I'd love to see you if I can. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that's the reaction from Gabriel.
I'll ask her, is your roommate up with you?
Actually, no, she isn't. I went home from school.
Oh, okay.
Makes
So-
it easier.
So Gabriel, daghang salamat for your passion of Cebu history and heritage. So daghang salamat for staying
Good.
awake until this time and conversing with us and joining us in our discussion today. And it makes us so inspired that we have young people like you, mga beauty and brains like Max Limpag and you to react to this discussion. Daghang salamat to Gabriel. See you
Good.
when you come back to Cebu. So,
No
so now,
doubt.
so we have our, so daghang salamat Dr. Mike. So you inspire young, aspiring to be historians also in the future. So thank you very much. So we have Catherine saying, Michelle saying, please reserve a copy of the book of Dr. Cullinan. So we have so many books, so we will have which book. And Catherine is saying, thanks for the very informative information of Cebu province. Ahmed is saying, thanks. And Ferdy is saying, Dr. Mike Cullinan, any plan to visit Cebu or Manila in the near future and do a day or two history seminar? 1 day or 2 days of history seminar? Only Dr. Mike? So he will be here in Cebu, like maybe early next year or later this year.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So we have so do we have now? So I saw actually history researcher, one of the researchers of out of Parian, one of our resource persons also at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel discussions. We have Marbs Bascon of Talisay City College. Daghang salamat for joining us also here on site. So do we have also the si Nelson Cui Del Mar. So we have also here Nelson,
Nelson.
and we have the descendant of the Alinio brother generals, Iris Alinio Fernandez in King. So daghang
And
salamat.
𝗂𝗏𝗀𝗃𝗏 who wrote the book that won an award about money.
BPI.
BPI.
So daghang
Yeah,
salamat to Carlos
Kaloy.
Apuhin, heritage
Yeah.
advocate, also a museum worker,
A very
cultural
thick
worker.
book. Yeah. Award-winning.
Yes. So who would want to ask the question? So we have Max again. So we have Max. Are we ready with the camera? Yes.
Siguro just to share information that I got. I think this is a period after the paper of Dr. Mike in the shadow of the Santo Niño, because like him, San Vidal is also my favorite saint. Partly because of what happened to him here. Not just forgotten, but somehow rejected by by the people. Well, it after actually namesake si Cardinal Vidal issued a he issued in I think it was in 19, let me just double check. He issued in the rededication of the cathedral. Wait, let me check the date. In 1994. So dedicated to, of course, the guardian angels and San Vidal. And I think a year or two back, the National Museum put up a marker there. The guardian angels were no longer in the marker. It was the Immaculate Conception and San Vidal. And one a a church official that's key towards the revival of the devotion to San Vidal is Auxiliary Bishop uh, Ruben Nabajo when he was assigned at the cathedral. And what they did was that they had this confragia, and what they did was, because San Vidal was mentioned to have he was caught as being a Christian because he tried to give a Christian burial to for some of the martyrs who were killed. So what they did was they went around to those who were killed during that period of our country when many people were killed during that bloody fight against drugs. So they went to the wake of especially the poor residents. They went to the wake of these people and said prayers as part of their, as part of their mission. And when there's a seller of images near the cathedral. Her name is Marcelina Pugoy. Uh, if you ask her, if you want to buy an image of San Vidal, you have to pay high, premium price, 3,000, because they do not have a cast for it. The regular images you pay like 700, but for San Vidal they have to, create. You have to really carve the image, so you could either give them a copy of the image of San Vidal that you want done, or they could just use as their model the one you find in the cathedral. But they said it's 3,000, and I asked her, how many people ask for an image of San Vidal, and she said, you're only the second person to ask. I said no, because I wasn't buying the image. So who was the person who asked about San Vidal? See, at that time Monsignor Labajo, but now he's the auxiliary bishop. So, but I think there's a chance that our favorite saint will the focus will again shift towards our favorite saint, because he is because with the plan to break up the Archdiocese of Cebu, the Archdiocese of Cebu Central will have as patron Saint Vitalis of Milan, our favorite saint.
Okay, dahil salamat for that sharing from journalist Max. So we have run out of time actually. So wala na usar atong i-allow. We only allow one question. Kisa man sa tulo. Si Kuan Iris, si Iris or si Kuan? Taga na to silang chance. Tag 1 minute lang inyong interaction ha. Sige, go. Question, si Iris first. Sige. Iris Alinio, the descendant of the Alinio generals of Talisay. So we have, yes, pwede i-down ang camera.
Good afternoon
I-down
or
gamay ang
good
camera.
morning, Mr. Dr. Mike. I would just like to duha akong punto. I have 2 points. One about Vicente Soto. I just remember my Potenciano Alinio was a writer of Ang Suga. He was under, now I understand that because of Vicente Soto's free thinking, he was, and Potenciano was a revolutionary, and he was a writer. He translated Mi Ultimo Adios in Cebuano under Ang Suga. And he was really a writer under Vicente Soto. So that was just my reaction.
Reflection.
That, yeah, na tinuod ko di ay he was a liberal thinker. Okay. Secondly, my question is, how big was Parian? What scope, land area? Parian.
And this is your rate. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a different area.
Sige, si Dr. Mike, sige, go.
You raised the essential question. How big was the Parian? The Parian, you could say, would have gone up to Zapatera. You know, you could argue that the Estero was what you would not be able to know is how did the Parian go towards San Nicolas? You know, because there's some land there that would be debated. But the big debate was the lands that the Augustinians claimed. Remember that Legazpi had given the Augustinians an hacienda, an estancia, very in the 1570s, that was called Banilad, you know, and it later became known as Talamban. So one of the big stories is when in 1850, when the Parian was suppressed, the Augustinians took over everything. They took everything over that is today Cogon. So all of the land that goes up Osmeña Boulevard and goes up to the provincial capital, all the way to the Pahina River, and all the way out through Camputao, through Lahog, through Banilan and Talamban, all fell under the Augustinians. So if you go to 1849, the Parian was only what would today be a little tiny bit of Zapatera, maybe some of Upao, you know, maybe a little bit of what we today call Likud, some of Panting, where the Jesuit house is now today, and coming forward to a confusing area around Tejero and Tinago in that area. But it was really very small. It was a very small area, and it was residential. So if you look at the map we looked at earlier, and you look at that 1842 map, that's the best map, in my opinion, of showing you exactly where the Parian houses were, where the people actually lived in a relatively small area around where today the monument is, where the Gorordo house is, where Rafi is, where that whole area, and where Bomberos and where the chapel that we talked about before is. As you begin to move further out, the Augustinians claimed it. And in 1849, the Augustinians owned it, you know, and they took it all over until the Americans came and made Talamban, Mabolo, a part of Cebu City. 1903. So in 1903, it all got messed up again, and all that part became a part of Cebu City, and the Augustinians lost their hacienda. And then the friar lands were sold, and many people around Cebu City bought up all that land, and including the government that built the provincial capital.
Sige, daghang salamat Dr. Mike. Wala na Iris, one time's up. So si Nelson, usa lang. 1 minute.
Can I put a shout out to Nelson?
Yes, Nelson, can we show this camera? So we have Nelson here.
Okay.
I'm really tall. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone, especially to my kindred hearts in history and heritage here who are watching right now. A shout out to Gab, who's in the US, my aunt Carmen Gahudo Walsh, and to Mike. Nice to meet you again virtually. Hope I can see you again in person.
Yeah.
So, my question is, I'm not sure if I heard or read this, but I think one of the motivations of the diocese priests to demolish or seize the reign of Parian Church was to rechannel the wealth of Parian Church, because Parian Church was the wealthiest church back then, right? So I think one of their motivations was to rechannel the wealth of the Parian Church to the cathedral. Am I right? I just want to verify that. I have another question, but we unfortunately ran out of time.
Sige.
So I could say something about it. Is the wealth of the church was, I think, taken by the cathedral, for sure. So what's interesting is the feud was with the Augustinians. And I think that one of the things that people confuse about Cebu is they think that the Augustinians are the people who run the diocese. They don't. The diocese is run by the secular clergy, and it was the bishop who took the materials that were in, and there were a lot of things that the Chinese mestizos had inside their church. So there's the head archivist at the University of Santo Tomas is 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 Jose, and he's a good friend of mine. And he once was in 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗃. So he was climbing into the bell tower of 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗃, and he went up into the bell tower and he found the bell from the Parian Church that had been taken by the Diocese of Cebu and given to the parish of 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗃, and it's still there. So it's like, so the things that were inside that church, I think, scattered all over the place. And the question is, I don't know of any. It would be interesting, because I'm sure that the Diocese of Cebu, if you went to the Palacio, there would be a record of the items that they got from the Parian Church and where they went. But for me, it was like one of the bells went to Bohol.
So, daghang salamat, Dr. Mike. Daghang salamat, Nelson, for your question.
Thank you.
So we have one last question from the audience. So, mo question pa ka? Di na? So naapa si Miss outside Parian ko, no? We give first the hulat lang ka. So we have Miss Margie Matthew to ask the question.
PayPal awardee.
PayPal
Okay. Margie Math.
Good evening, Michael. I'm Margarita Matthew. My mom is the younger sister of Conching Briones. I'm full of informations about Parian. However, I'd like to, since I feel that you know everything about Cebu.
I wish.
Is there by chance you came across an allegation that my great-great-grandparents, Judge Francisco Matthew, who was the friend of Rizal, were murdered, have been murdered, plotted against him because they felt that he was not keeping up to the interest of the Spaniards, just because they were let's say they connive with the Katipuneros. No, this has always been bugging me because I'd like to know if you came across such an information that they were murdered, plotted by the Spanish government at that time because they were considered traitor to Spain. They were Spaniards.
And this is Francisco Mateo.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
The friend of Rizal.
yeah, in fact, that's one of the most famous letters in Rizal. When he comes through Cebu, he goes and meets with Mateo in his house. He stays there. Is
And
my
it was because of that they told the nail that he was a traitor because he had a friend. They met in I think Spain or somewhere because he was
So I can check this easily, but is my understanding is that Francisco Mateo was not killed during the revolutionary period, that he went on and he had actually had a position as a judge during the American colonial period. That he survived the revolution. So what does the family history say about when he died?
That's what we've been trying to.
Okay, you ask the leader of our group here, Agripina, to send me an email about Francisco Mateo, and I will send you everything I know about him.
Thank you.
Yes.
Salamat kayo.
There's a lot of information about him. I do not think that he was killed during the time of the revolution. He may have been killed later for other reasons because he went on to be a judge somewhere like in Tuburan or
Bantayan.
Was it Bantayan?
Bantayan, Daan Bantayan.
Yeah, okay, then that was when he was a judge of Daan Bantayan, that was long after the revolution.
So
Yes. Daghang salamat.
Salamat kayo.
So
Daghang salamat.
let's connect on
Yes.
Francisco Mateo.
Yes, we will send an email to Dr. Mike to ask him. So we will, yes, to ask him about Francisco Mateo. So last interaction from our on-site audience, we have the creator, the one who designed my pre-colonial Patanaw earrings, and this is now available at 𝗵𝗃𝗄 Sidugatan Gifts from Cebu.
Hello,
So-
may hapon.
So we have Ferdinand
Hello,
Ascaraga.
Hi, Sir Gavin.
Pero ipaduol ko na ang mic, murag layo ra.
This is actually a question that it always baffles me every time I pass by Parian. This is basically historical, or it could also be fictional. So this question can be answered by Gavin or by Sir Mike if they have the information. So what happened to Alba? So Alba was actually a very daongo sa Parian. So every time I visit Parian at night, sometimes I even go walking or just pass by Parian 1 a.m. Figuring out which of the blocks was the residence of Alba, and I even created a clip that was somehow inspired by this prominent figure, and if there are any descendants of Alba still residing in Parian practicing the black magic.
So dahil salamat to Ferdinand. So maybe we can have Gavin first to answer that question because he is very good when it comes to witches and ungo. So Gavin is the expert on sa mga mga ungo. We are like mga ungo like us. Ang mga babaylan kay mga ungo man. So the women and the gays kay mga ungo man during the Spanish period. They were demonized as ungo. The women women and the gay. So, sige, what can you say about ungo sa Parian? Gavin, 1 minute lang ha.
The house of Alba is still there. It's where the 7-Eleven is. No, there's a 7-Eleven there. The building is now owned by 𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗵. That used to be Palacio Shipping. Yeah. So it's at the corner of Mabini and Zulueta Street.
Okay.
So that old house.
So daghang
The house
salamat
of Alba.
to Gavin. So we have now the trivia quiz with exciting prize before Dr. Mike. Do you want to say something about the ungo day, Dr. Mike?
No, I have a lot of newspaper accounts about Alba Ungo, so I can look them up. But Gavin has already identified where the house is. And I think there are many, many stories published in the newspapers at the time about her. My favorite story comes from the Seminario Minor, where the old priest used to see her riding her horse across the field behind the seminario in Mabolo.
So Alba was riding a horse, not a broom. Si Alba, the ungo, was riding a horse and not a broom yet. So it's a Western, the broom is a Western depiction of an ungo. So we have the trivia quiz with exciting prize before Dr. Michael Onane will have his closing statement for our event this afternoon. We will have the closing statement of Gavin after we announce the winners of the speech contest, because Gavin will help me announce or give the awards for our winning contestants. And Dr. Mike will be a judge of those answers for this question. So our trivia question number 1 is for the on-site audience, and the one who would get the correct answer will get our cake of the month. I love 𝗧𝗏𝗏, I love you, but. So we have the asan ang cake? Oh, wala sa picture. So the first question is for the on-site audience, and please raise your hand and go to the microphone. The first one to raise his or her hand would go to the microphone and then give your answer to this question. So natay picture sa cake. Tana ganina no? Asa lang cake. So this is your prize if you answer this question. It has dark chocolate, it has cream cheese and fresh milk. So kana. It's a red velvet cake. Our version, it's lami na siya. Lami gyud na. So, the question is this. Who was raise your hand when you want to answer. Who was the patron saint of the lost Parian Parish or the lost Parian Church? So, raise your hand. Who wants to answer the question? And you get, sige, si Carlos. So, did you go to the microphone? So dili na makitaan siya. So dito ra siya. Wala ka dugog ang online audience. Hinanglan mo ari ka diri para mapicturean ka.
Kaloy,
Ari
come
sa
forward.
microphone. So the answer is dito na lang siya picturean. So the answer is San Juan Bautista. Congratulations. So you win a love tika, I love you but cake. So we have that second question is we all answer through the comment section of this Facebook Live event. So everyone here except Carlos can answer the next question. Congratulations for knowing the answer to that question. And you win the karon na niya madawat or next na. Mag-send siya message to the 𝗵𝗃, the Cebu Heritage Hotel page. And to those who are asking how to buy the book, you send a message or to the 𝗵𝗃, the Cebu Heritage Hotel page inbox. So second question, nana mo internet ya? So, so according to Dr. Michael Onane, the Parian Parish was abolished, and the people are now going to the other parts of Cebu City. So gremios were already established. So the question is this: name one gremio in the Spanish time Cebu. So Dr. Michael Onane has mentioned so many gremios after districts were abolished. So name one gremio. What is a gremio? How is it translated, Dr. Mike?
It's like a municipal corporation.
Municipal.
It doesn't exist anywhere except within the Spanish world.
Yes. So, kanang kisay nag-answer? You answer through the comment section. While we are waiting for your answers, we have these comments from so Ahmed is saying the Parian Heritage Monument by national artist Castillo also sits on the property block of the old church. And Michelle is asking, was there a graveyard in Parian? Curious na ako, no? Gavin says here that there is. So Stan is saying, a talk on 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏, please. So Joy Hera is saying, Gavin, you look good. Better than, mas guwapa siya kaysa ako, actually. Yada yun. Nanay answer? Walay nag-answer. No, Karkar is not. So, is it a very hard question? Gremio de Chinos. Paul Padilla. Congratulations to Paul Padilla. You won. So, Gremio de Chino is one gremio. Gremio de Naturales is for the natives. Gremio de Mestizo. Gremio de Mestizo Sangle. And Gremio de Mestizos for the Spanish mestizos or other mestizos.
Only for Chinese mestizos,
mestizo.
the Gremio de Mestizos.
Gremio de
Specifically
Mestizo.
for the Chinese mestizos.
Gremio de Mestizo, and then Gremio de Chino. And so daghang salamat to everyone. Pero we are announcing after a few minutes after Dr. Mike Collinane's closing words. Wa tapat mahuman kay. We still have to see who won in our How Can 𝗀𝗃𝗏𝗀𝗃 Heroism inspire change in today's society? So, Dr. Mike, you want the morning words from you? It's morning there now.
Yeah, I know. I'm about to wake up. So I have nothing to say except thank you everyone for coming, and I thoroughly enjoy these kinds of things, so I hope I can come back again and do this.
So, daghang salamat and a round of applause for Dr. Mike Collinane, the adopted son of Cebu, who we would say that more Cebuano than most of us. So, daghang salamat to Dr. Mike og maayong buntag dinha sa imo. It's maayong hapon diri sa amo. So now we would like to everyone to announce. We will have the announcement of the Cebu Island-wide hybrid speech contest, and we have our front desk staff, our co-facilitator here, Ian, to help us announce the winners. Na ay mga contestants karon who came here. Wala, no?
Bye, Mike.
Actually, nakasunod na ni siya. So, nakasunod na ni siya. Then, mo-announce mo ko din sa mga participants. Ihatag lang na Ma'am A, ha? Nakasunod na ni siya, Sir Awan. Ano na siya na ini? Kaya nag-iukap lang siya, Sir. Sir, asa ko din. Sir, mga participants, diretso na ko din. Diretso na ko sa kanin ko. Awarding sa convention. So, can you mention of judges? By controversies.
Usa na lang. Wala is it gawas so. So we have now our announcement of winners. We would first first read the contestants for the hybrid speech contest that happened during the birthday of 𝗀𝗃𝗏𝗀𝗃 last July 27. It is the celebration of the 101st birthday of General Leon Quilat. Sige. Diri ka, Ian. Diri, oh.
From the Netizens Choice Award.
No, wala pa. The list of the contestants.
She is from the University of Cebu, Banilad,
Closer.
Cebu City
Closer
Division,
yung mic.
with
Diri ka.
with her speech entitled Battle of Times. Kate Kwong.
So this is the certificate of Kate Kwong. Sige, next. It's from the University of Cebu.
She is from the University of San Jose Recoletos main campus. Her speech entitled Love the Philippines, Leon Quilat's Heroism as a Spirit Bridge to the Filipino Spirit. She is 𝗬𝗂𝗵𝗏.
So we have from the University of San Jose Recoletos, 𝗬𝗂𝗵𝗏. So nagipagita pa yung certificate. Yeah, so next.
She is from Divine Life Institute of Cebu Incorporated. Her speech entitled Leon Quilat's Legacy, What Thou Seest Betrayal, What Ignites Heroism.
So we have from what school?
From Divine Life Institute of Cebu
Divine
Incorporated.
Life Institute of
Khalil Alexis R. Monares.
So, sige na lang, di na natin i-show ang certificate. Kami na lang. So, next.
She is from the Philippine Science High School, Central Visayas Campus in Argao, Cebu. Her speech entitled The Butterfly Effect, no other than Leah Isabel Monteclar.
So, she is from the Philippine Science High School. So this,
She is from the University of San Jose Recoletos, Basa Campus, Cebu City Division. His speech entitled Leon Quilat, A Hero Within.
so, our hero with
No other than Rayleigh Tristan V. Bascog.
So, from the University of San Jose Recoletos. So,
She is from the Divine Institute of the Philippines Incorporated, and her speech entitled A Nation Worth Bleeding For. No other than Rian Lorraine T. de los Reyes. She is from 𝗬𝗃𝗃 National High School, Toledo City Division. Her speech entitled The Only Chance to Be Alive is to Be Leader. No other than Lovely Shane Pandak.
so from 𝗬𝗃𝗃 National High School.
She is from the University of San Carlos, Cebu City Division. His speech entitled The Thunder of Youth. No other than Draco Aaron Morales. Clap. He is from Don Bosco Technical College, Cebu City Division, and his speech entitled Quilat, the Lightning of Freedom. No other than Alfonso Gian Monton.
So, congratulations for being a contestant. So, we now would like you to know that the judges of our speech contest are the following. So, we have from, i-show na lang nato dire, ang atong mga judge of our speech contest. One of our judges is Attorney Ian Manticahon of UP Cebu. Another judge is also Attorney Harb, duha ka book lawyer, Attorney Harb Abella, a descendant of Cebu Katipuneros of the Abella clan. And we also have as another judge also Professor Ligaya Rabago of UP Cebu, also a veteran actress and also a veteran film actress.
Award-winning.
Award-winning actress.
The only one in UP.
And last but not the least, judge is Maria Cecilia Cabañas, the information officer of the National Museum of the Philippines, Cebu. And these are now the winners of our speech contest, winning the Netizens Choice Awards with how many views? Actually, how we chose the Netizens' Choice awardee is based not just from the reactions, but from the number of views, of how many times the video of their speeches were viewed. Kaya pwede man ka nga mo react, but you did not watch the video. So the basis for the for the for the for the for the choice of the netizens' choice is the number of views of the speech and also the reactions. So, kinsa na? So, please announce the winner of our Netizens' Choice Award and please inform us of the how many views the video or the speech has. Wala mo? Copy?
Then the Netizens' Choice Award is 𝗬𝗲𝗻𝗄 from the Philippine Science High School, Central Visayas.
How many views?
I hope we had 1,000 views
Pwede
today.
ba para
No?
akong script? Akong script. So we have our winner for the Netizens' Choice Award. We having the views of we have a total views and reactions of 6,000. She has 6,446 views, a total of 6,446 views and reactions. So we have from Cebu, Cebu, from Philippine Science High School, Central Visayas, 𝗬𝗲𝗻𝗄. Congratulations to 𝗬𝗲𝗻𝗄. And so we would like to announce the consolation prize winners. So we have from, ako na lang? So we have, wala na ako diri. So we have the consolation prize winner. So what is the title of her speech? So from 𝗬𝗃 National High School, Toledo City Division. What's the title of her speech? Di na lang natin isulti. The consolation prize winner, Lovely Shane Panda, 𝗬𝗃 National High School. Show na to siya? Wala na to ba show? So we have also from another consolation prize winner. We have from the Divine Life Institute of Cebu. Unsa ni nga town? Is this Liloan? From Divine Life Institute, we have Khalil Alexis Monares. Congratulations for winning the consolation prize. And also, we have consolation prize winner from the Cebu City Division, from the University of San Jose Recoletos, Basak Campus. We have Rayleigh Tristan Basco. Walay picture diha? Wala. So, pamakpak sad buoy? From University of San Jose Recoletos, Rayleigh Tristan Basco. And we have also another consolation prize winner from University of San Carlos, Draco Aaron Morales. Ikaw pa.
Big hand.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And also from the University of Cebu, Manila, Kate Kwong. Yes.
Oh yeah, she was the winner.
And then we have as our another consolation prize winner, we have from Don Bosco Technical College, Alfonso Gian Monton. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And now we go to our third prize, second prize, and first prize winners. So we would show you the video of our third placer in our contest with the theme, how can 𝗬𝗃𝗀𝗻𝗄's heroism inspire change in today's society? And this is an excerpt of the winning speech. Third prize winner, third place.
A man can choose to live for two reasons: for himself or for a cause greater than himself. Have you ever asked yourselves the question, what do I live for? What do you live for? 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗏 understood that to fight for himself meant to fight a battle greater than himself, and I can't help but compare. As I've come across many people from my generation, I wonder if we would even consider the second option. Over the past few months, our fishermen have been mistreated in our own waters. Feuds have caused divide amongst our leaders. Illegal activities have infiltrated our systems. These very problems are placing fear in the hearts of the Filipino people, making us ask, is this still a nation worth pleading for?
So daghang salamat. Congratulations to Rian Lorraine de los Reyes of the Divine Life Institute of Cebu. So please read from DepEd Region 7 and Palmgrass the Cebu Heritage Hotel, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃.
𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗏. For winning the third place in the Cebu Island-wide hybrid speech contest with the theme, you know what?
How can 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏's heroism inspire change in today's society? Kita na magpa-picture sa iyang award. So this is from DepEd Region 7 and also Palmgrass the Cebu Heritage Hotel. Congratulations to the third place winner, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 Rian de los Reyes. And now we go to our second prize. Nanglupad na. Abtik paskilat ang mga kuan. So our second prize winner. Akong script. So we have our second placer. We show the video. So there are 9 contestants. Duha na lang wa matawag. Sige.
365,000 children are born every day on average. 365,000 different individuals who will grow up and change the world in multiple ways. 365,000 different outcomes at play. The butterfly effect, chaos theory, and the sensitive dependence on initial conditions phenomena all point to the same thing. How something so minuscule and so tiny in the grand scale of the universe can make such a big impact. How a single drop of water can create a vast ripple in a lake. How a single flap of a butterfly wing can create a thunderstorm. How a singular pebble can create an avalanche.
So congratulations to from Philippine Science High School, Central Visayas, with the speech, The Butterfly Effect. We have 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 who is also the Netizen's Choice Awardee.
Yeah.
Congratulations to 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃.
Thank
So,
you.
so wala na, usa na lang wa matawag. So the grand winner of our Cebu Island-wide hybrid speech contest, we have her video of her speech.
Love the Philippines. 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏's heroism as a bridge to the Filipino spirit. Piliin mo ang Pilipinas, a statement that sparked tremendous engagement online as it ignited the unwavering Filipino spirit of nationalism. However, beyond this statement is a shadow cast as a cry for help for the adversities that Filipinos continue to battle. Amidst the vast ocean of hardships that our country is facing, one question lingers to mind. How? How do we choose the Philippines? We grew up hearing the remarkable stories of countless Filipino heroes who sacrificed their lives in the fight against oppression and tyranny.
So congratulations to the grand winner of our Cebu Island-wide hybrid speech contest from the University of San Jose Recoleto's main campus, 𝗪𝗂𝗀𝗃 is it 𝗧𝗵𝗲? Congratulations to 𝗧𝗵𝗲 for winning the grand prize of the Cebu
I
Island-wide
think I voted for her.
You voted for her? Ikaw yun ha? So, mao ni siya. So now, diri na lang tagab. So we would like to invite you to our future events again on August 31, Bansay Balak, and we have Professor Tonda Pusala and 𝗪𝗂𝗃𝗏 for the poetry workshop for beginners. September 14, the story of the Cebu Press. Nagisugdan na ni Dr. Mike Colinain ganina regarding ang suga ug ang kamatuoran. We will have Max
Very
Limpag.
nice.
Ayaw yung back out, ayaw yung ko i-ghost, Max. Daghan ra bang ungo diri sa Parian Parish, what diri sukera. So, we will have on September 22 the 𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗃 anniversary, the raiding and feasting with UP Diliman, she is an archaeologist, Dr. Tara Reyes Hernandez, and we will have the Warrior Dagami cosplay contest. So now we will have the closing words. Diri na lang tagab ka. Mahuman na ni siya. So we will have the closing words from our panelist, Gavin Sanson Bagares.
Yeah, thank you. A for effort for the staff of Miss Agrippina this afternoon. Salamat. Thank you very much to Dr. Mike Colinain, who is the star of the show and he knows so much. So we really want him live, the next time. And only, truth be told, he only answers to Agrippina these days.
I want to, ikaw i-ghost ka.
No answers to all my emails. Anyway, we love you, Mike. Thank you for the attendance, Señorita Gemma Owano Wilson. Thank you for coming and staying on. I know it's bedtime for you and Lando. Yeah. Thank you for the gift. Yes, that we will partake in a while. And also to my prima, the beautiful Marilu Bernardo, the great-granddaughter of Don Sergio Osmeña. You met her at the launch, at the great reveal. The big reveal.
Who is the true father.
Yes. And also Max Limpag, who is a pioneer, really, of the QR code of history sites in Cebu. The president of FLAG, the founder, Al Quizon. As I promised, we will have a campaign period soon. And Ma'am Ellen, Elecciones. So thank you. And I can't see the rest, but they're all there. I think si Jet. Yeah, and of course the historians of the future, Nelson Del Mar and Ferdinand and Raul.
Mag-enumerate ka di si Gabi
Karot. Yeah, because we have to thank them. It's very seldom that we have so many people.
Yes.
Yeah, live, So thank you very much. What I can say is that we are hoping for Parian not to be revived totally, but for government, not necessarily those sitting in offices now, to really walk the talk of making Parian a heritage site worthy of all the things that we are doing, talking about the past, the glory and everything, but really revive at least a certain portion of that past glory. Maybe not revive, but give honor to that past glory. So I thank you and please vote for Agrippina. I was just kidding. I was just kidding. Just to wake us up,
So dahil salamat everyone to the Flag Tour Guides, our partner in this event. We have for the reaction from Gabriel Gonzalez and Max Limpag, the beauty and brains reactors of our event today, to our special guest from Mandaue City and the great-granddaughter of Don Sergio Osmeña. Salamat
and the
for
daughter
joining,
of Don Ernesto
Orlando
Owano.
and everyone who is here from UP Cebu and also from University of San Carlos, the 𝗬𝗂𝗃 City College, and also from our partner also in one of the members of the Central Visayas Association of Museums from BPI Museum.
Ay,
Carlos
Carlos Apuhin.
And
BPI.
everyone who is here from daghang salamat og maayong gabi na. Maayong gabi na tong tanan.
Yes.
See you in our next event.
Next event, September? No?
August 31, Bansay
Oh,
Balak.
yeah, okay.
Send your points now.
That's already the plug. Thank you, and Flag is here to give us